gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Teresa. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Teresa.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. David Patrick Harry with Church of the Eternal Logos, and we have a Logos news stream on this Friday, May 1st. Man, is 2026 flying by. It's already May 1st. You guys believe that? 5 months into 2026. It feels like it just started. And part of the problem of why time is moving so fast is because the news cycle is so damn full. About every other week, we got massive things going on. Things that we'll be getting into today. We have one of the bright spots. I'm going to be showing you guys an Orthodox Russian chant that actually ends up winning a talent show. Something like America's Got Talent, but within Russia. So we're going to start the stream off with something wholesome, something genuine, something Christian and Orthodox. But then we're going to get into the latest situation between the Russia-Ukraine war, For those of you who don't know, Ukraine just attacked another oil refinery, which they did over multiple days, caused massive damage to a oil refinery on the Black Sea. And it sounds like Russia is gearing up its spring offensive. Expectations are they are going to take out Ukraine. Even one of the defense ministers for Ukraine worried that if they use long distance ballistic missiles, which they did, and they have been doing with drones and such, that they were worried that there might be a tactical nuclear weapon used by Russia against them. Now, is that likely? Probably not, given that Putin has already warned America, so did Xi Jinping, and Netanyahu about using nuclear weapons in Iran. China and Russia both said explicitly Israel, America did not use any tactical nuclear weapons. Now, today is the day where a lot of the news regarding the Iran war, people are expecting some news breaks. There's probably going to be something tonight. And the reason being is technically, now not that Congress or the formal procedures matter much anymore, but technically, after a conflict has been going on for 60 days, Congress has to act and give approval for the continuation of military action. And today is day 60. Today is day 60. So what is the U.S. going to do? I'm going to show you some clips of Pete Hegseth, who was interrogated in front of Congress, in which he kind of shows his hand that we've all been talking about, that there really hasn't been any clear objective regarding this war. From the latest that we've heard from even Scott Bessent, who is a economics guy in the Trump administration, calling the Iranians rats in a sewer and saying that the U.S. military is going to continue to fight until the Strait returns to the situation it was in February. Well, what would happen in February? Oh, we hadn't gone to war yet. So now you hear, oh, well, they can't have a nuclear weapon. Pete Hegseth said this in front of Congress. The reason why we're at war with Iran is to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon. And then they asked him, well, what about the offensive in June of 2025? I thought you said that you annihilated and obliterated their nuclear capability. Well, we did. Well, then how can they have a nuclear weapon? Well, they still want one. Okay, but they don't have the ability to make one. So now the Trump administration, according to Scott Bessent, the objective is just to return the Strait to the way it was before we began to bomb Iran on behalf of Israel. Because one of the things that, again, we've been saying over and over on this channel, but seems to be coming across even more clear by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson and his brother, both claim that they have insider knowledge that Trump had been opposed to this war from the very outset. But because Miriam Adelson donated the $250 million to his campaign, just like her husband Sheldon did during the 2016 campaign, his first administration, they basically are ruling the roost. And from the insiders, they're claiming that even though Trump said he did not want to, Israel and their cronies and backers inside the United States government forced his hand. And now we're in a situation, I don't know what gas prices are where you're at, but we have been facing a global shortage on oil, energy crisis. Here in Indiana, which typically we have pretty cheap oil, our gas prices are typically pretty good across the nation, whatever the national average is. Usually we're there or below. Regular unleaded is $5 a gallon now. Premium is now $6 a gallon. And I just saw that diesel is up over $6 here in Indiana. So imagine places like New York and LA, where I'm sure prices are even higher. So we are facing a situation in which the consequences of the Iran war and the blocking of the Strait of Hormuz is having a direct impact on you and me now. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. We'll be highlighting some things about the Trump assassination attempt. Some of you may have seen that. Israel is still killing Christians and bombing Christian villages in southern Lebanon. to the degree that Netanyahu on his personal X account posts videos during what's supposed to be some type of ceasefire. Of course, there isn't one. And Hezbollah has been quite effective. I actually have two articles from the Times of Israel highlighting actually this battle, this annexing of southern Lebanon all the way up to the Litani River hasn't gone great for the Israelis. Multiple soldiers killed, many soldiers wounded. And it's taken a price, taken a toll on the IDF. So we're going to be getting into that. We'll be talking about Ben Shapiro's latest appeal, along with Mark Levin, for censoring Americans regarding anti-Semitism. That little tag they're always trying to give us to get us kicked off platforms, make sure that we're untouchable in one way or another. Well, the difference this time is that a Democrat and Republican congressman have put forward legislation to do exactly that. So in the title, I highlighted that there's a new censorship law. Well, the law hasn't been passed yet, but the bill has been put forth. And, of course, it's backed by, AIPAC and the usual players that be, all the neocons, whether they have a D or an R next to their name, doesn't really matter. This is being presented as the ultimate bipartisan bill. And what it is the government wants to have the ability to pressure tech companies that if you say something critical of the state of Israel, which according to this bill is anti-Semitic, so you can no longer criticize Israel, even though, as we know, some Orthodox Jews don't even support the state of Israel. Many Jews are critical of Israel, but if you are critical of a foreign government, the U.S. now wants to enforce tech companies to deplatform you and reprimand you for supposed anti-Semitism. So we see the definition of anti-Semitism continually growing. And now there's a bill put forth. Hopefully this doesn't pass, but as we've already talked about in the entrenchment of AIPAC and the Jewish lobbyists and Israeli lobbyists in the U.S. government, don't be surprised if it does. I would imagine majority Republicans are going to vote for it. One of the writers of the bill is also a Democrat. I'm sure multiple Democrats are going to vote for it. So I expect it to get out of Congress. I expect it to get out of the Senate. God forbid it does. But if it gets to Donald Trump's desk, of course, he's going to sign it. We're also going to get into what happened last night. InfoWars shut down. InfoWars shut down. I was catching a little bit of the broadcast, and shout out to Jay Dyer. He was actually on the final broadcast of InfoWars. Now, don't worry. Alex Jones is still doing Alex Jones stuff. He's moved over to the Alex Jones Network. Today was the first show of the Alex Jones Network, so they're still in operation. He's still doing his thing, and he's vowing to never stop the fight. But unfortunately, InfoWars, after 27 years of him battling the culture war, has unfortunately been shut down. So that happened. And we're going to be getting into a bunch of other stuff. So smash that like, guys. This one's going to be a fun stream. I promise you that. I wanted to mention that I have two sponsored streams coming up. Monday, we're going to be doing a sponsored stream on Kosovo. And shout out to Teacup. He's one of our Orthodox Christians over in Eastern Europe. He gave me tons of great resources to look into the persecution of Serbian Orthodox. That's going to be this coming Monday. And then I have one on satanic ritual abuse and looking at it from a psychological perspective, a cultural perspective from the 1980s forward. That's going to be Wednesday. After those two, I only have one sponsored stream to do. And I was going to extend, if you guys are interested, doing a community funding for a sponsored stream tonight. So if we reach the Super Chat goal of 30, I'll set another one for 20. If we reach the 50 Super Chat goal, well, then you guys can pick the next sponsored stream. I know some of you guys mentioned something about Vlad the Impaler. That'd be pretty cool. The two that you guys have chosen so far was on St. Nicholas and Rasputin, and then the Crusades. Both of them were a lot of fun. So we'll see how things go today. But if you guys are interested, one of the incentives is sponsoring a stream. And if you guys are interested, I could even give somebody a book, Return to Babylon from Adam to Antichrist, if we reach the goal, for somebody who's super chatted, random select of someone who's super chatted. So anyways, that's on the table. That's an offer. Looks like we got some super. Nathan Slippery throws in 10, says, I got into a discussion with a dim at church about Iran. Oh, that's unfortunate that you got dims at church. I brought up the saints' prophecies. She said they don't know what they are talking about. Oh, God. But I bet she got her Fauci ouchie, right? I did see, we're not going to be talking about it today, but did you guys see the latest news that Tulsi Gabbard said that she's leading an investigation into the perjury of Dr. Fauci? Yes. Now, I will believe it when I see charges leveled at him. Until there's charges, it may be one of these fictitious, hopeful projects out of the Trump administration. We'll see. But that was interesting. But speaking to a dim at church, Lord have mercy. And the fact that she probably appeals to secular institutional authorities over the saints does not bode well for some of the female Orthodox Christians. As you said, I almost wonder if it's a younger woman. Nathan Slippery, is this a younger woman or is this a boomer? I could easily see a female boomer saying something like that. And honestly, I could see a 20-something-year-old girl saying it as well. But I'd be curious. Give me a little clarity on what was the age of this chick that you had the discussion with. Calarian throws in 2, no comment. Thank you very much, brother. Oh, shout out to Josiah Elleron. Brother, I will see you at Montanica in about a month. He says, keep doing the blessed work of his truth that you do. God bless you. Well, thank you so much, Josiah Elleron. I look forward to seeing you and Snagglebeast in Montana. We had such great combos down in Florida at the conference with Dyer and everyone else. That Montana is going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see you guys. And if you haven't got tickets, especially if you're in the mountain region of the United States, get tickets. Go to Montana. We don't know how many we're going to be able to have. This year's going to be a lot of fun. And In Jones, 814, throws in a generous $20 as well. No comment. Thank you very much, guys, for the support. I really appreciate it. It's very nice. All right. Let's get straight into things, guys. So let me pull up the first window here on everything we're going to get into. As I promised you, we're actually going to start with something fairly wholesome today. So, we deal with so much negative news day after day. This one I thought was very cool. So this was shared by Father Christopher, but I saw it making its rounds across social media. An Orthodox prayer, basically, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner, the Jesus prayer, was chanted by an Orthodox choir and scored 100 out of 100 on a Russian talent show. So before we get into all the negative news and things that are critical, why don't we sort of cleanse ourselves right now with this beautiful, beautiful Russian hymn? And one of the things that I thought was so interesting, can you imagine this happening in the United States? Can you imagine America's Got Talent or American Idol or any of these sort of singing talent shows that a group of Orthodox Christian chanters, a choir, actually ends up getting 100 out of 100, a perfect score? Not likely, unfortunately, in our country. So anyways, let's start with this and cleanse ourselves a little bit.
Какая палитра и какая вертикаль.
Это идеально. Это идеально. Господи. Прям, я не знаю, это какой-то вне конкурса.
So just a beautiful, beautiful display of what Orthodox chanting sounds like at a professional level, and just beautiful to see that that's actually celebrated in Russia. Again, it got 100 out of 100 of the judges to stand on their feet. If you watch the end there, the little section, you'll see multiple people crossing themselves. And I'm sure the beauty of that forced people to sort of self-assess and reflect, and probably had the thought as, dang, I need to go to confession, go back to church. So too bad we don't have stuff like that in the United States. But since we're talking about Russia, I immediately wanted to get into the latest things regarding the Ukraine-Russian conflict. So this is stuff coming from yesterday and today. Ukraine has hit the Tuapse oil refinery 3 times in 2 weeks, and Russia still can't stop it. This happened at the Black Sea Terminal, a major export hub. Every strike that gets through is money Russia can't spend on the war. Now you can see they've hit it multiple times with drones. And even though, again, I use Mario just because he's always talking. He always has like the videos for the latest topics. But remember, Mario is very much part of the Western bias regarding media. He's great. He's always on top of like what's the latest thing going on and always has the video. But the way he frames stuff, just be aware. Just be very aware of his framing. He tends to have a very anti-Russian sentiment. You know, this is a guy, he's a journalist in Dubai. But that is a real situation. And from everything that I've been hearing, listening to military analysts, they're expecting a massive response from Russia during the spring offensive. So people have been mocking Putin and saying Russia hasn't really responded yet. They're not really, doing anything regarding these Ukrainian attacks and really attacking the infrastructure, the energy infrastructure of their economy. So keep an eye out on this. And we have multiple conflicts going on right now. We got Al-Qaeda in Mali. We have And the U.S. is actually backing Al-Qaeda. We got them fighting. So we basically have a war going on in Africa. We have a war going on in the Middle East with Iran, Israel going at war against Lebanon. Lebanon's not really fighting back. The political elite are totally Western-bought puppets. Hezbollah is the only thing that's responding. And it doesn't look like I saw reports, and we'll talk about it when we get to Lebanon. There's reports that there may be a civil war, that Israel's trying to instigate a civil war. But regarding the Ukraine-Russian situation, I expect to see a massive retaliation. And regarding all this stuff, did you see that King Charles came to the United States? We're not going to play this because I really don't give a damn what King Charles has to say. He's a crypto-Muslim at this point. But he came to the U.S. and gave a speech in front of the U.S. Congress demanding that we fight Russia on behalf of Ukraine. What type of moron, while we're already in a war that we shouldn't be in Iran, comes to our country as a guest and then requests that we fight another global war? It shows you really what the utility of the American empire is to these globalist elite. We are basically just a gas pump and a military for the world's globalist agenda. So anyways, that was King Charles. And here, Volodymyr Zelensky announces plans to extend strikes deep into Russia, saying long-range attacks are now routine to push toward diplomacy. So there is also, related to this, there is also another article I saw that Zelensky is now asking for a long-term ceasefire, that Ukraine is seeking peace with Russia, but it's the mean, bad Russians that won't extend an olive branch to Zelensky. You know, this whole nonsense. Meanwhile, this guy's literally destroying oil refineries through drone warfare over in the Black Sea. So, again, I do not expect peace talks. I do expect a ramp up in the military operations of Russia this spring. Because remember, that part of the world, they have to wait for everything to dry up, because after the winter, everything melts and they can't get tanks. The logistics are too difficult. It's just not an ideal situation. So they need the weather to warm up to dry the ground. And that is essentially what Russia is waiting on. So there's that. Okay, so now we can jump over to now the Iran war. But let me catch up. Serbian Slav Squad gifted 5 Total Crew memberships. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate that. God bless everyone who just got a Total Crew membership. Voltmir throws in 5. No comment. Thank you very much. And Nathan Slippery throws in 5. Almost as beautiful as the choir at Holy Cross in West Virginia. Also, the lady was a boomer. Okay, boomer. That was my first guess. So I was right. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful choir. I've never been to Holy Cross in West Virginia, so I can't validate whether they are actually more beautiful than that Russian choir. But it is a goal to eventually get over to Holy Cross. Serbian Slav Squad throws in 1,000 RSD, says, for the goal, brother. Thank you so much, Serbian Slav Squad. And Saint Perk throws in 5, says, I definitely suggest History Legends on YouTube for detailed events. He also did a massive video on the casualty rate between Russia and Ukraine. Definitely recommended. Well, that's another talking point that is just so off from what we're hearing. According to the West, I've seen Western media outlets claim that over 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed in this war. That is certainly not the case. And so what we see is that all the mainstream media keeps saying more Russians have died than they actually have, and less Ukrainians have died than they actually have. Because from my understanding, and maybe St. Perk sees it differently, and I've never watched History Legends, so can't verify, but the idea that Ukraine has been winning this war since 2022 is just a laughable joke. Patrick throws in 20, says, love these series. Keep it coming, my brother. Absolutely, will do. Again, as I said, my goal is to try to do one of these a week. And next week, we have 2 sponsored streams, but I'd like to also get some debate open panels again. Was just recently in convo with my brother Jose. And so I'm going to reach out to him this weekend, see what day works for him next week. So maybe Thursday or Friday, we're going to have an open debate panel again where you guys can join. I haven't decided what the debate topic would be. Maybe has Trump been successful? That debate prompt was between Andrew Wilson and Owen Schroyer. Not incredibly great debate prompt. I can see the arguments from both sides, but that caused a lot of feathers being ruffled. But yeah, I don't know. I'll come up with the topic. Patrick, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate the support. Nope man throws in 5, says, I need that Vlad episode. Pay up, pay piggies. That's right. If we reach the goal today, the 50, 30 is the goal for the stream. 50 is for a sponsored stream by you guys. You guys can pick the topic. So if you guys want a Vlad the Impaler, sponsored stream, that is the goal for today. Blink 4444 throws in 10, says, Lord have mercy on our burning world. Have you looked at the drought out west yet? No, yes, I actually have that. You're talking about in Arizona and Phoenix. I actually have a video. We're going to be covering that today. Yeah, there is a drought going on right now. Not looking great, that's for sure. So much becomes so desensitized to like world events because it seems like every day major things are happening. I mean, there just stuff that typically would be breaking news, headline news, doesn't even make the Logos news stream because there's so many other things to talk about. So anyways, thank you very much, Blink. Really appreciate that. Okay, let's get into the latest with the Iran war. So I don't know if you guys have been following. We still are blockading the blockade. What that means is, as you remember, Iran had laid mines across the Strait of Hormuz. There's only specific routes ships can take to make sure they're not over the mines or in any sort of danger. Iran had then been charging a toll fee, so they turned the Strait of Hormuz basically into a toll booth in which you had to pay to enter, get your shipload, and then you're on your way. Well, the United States realized that, oh my gosh, Iran was making more money in a day during the war through their blockade than they were making before the war started. And of course, we actually had sanctions against Russian and Iranian oil before the war started. But then once the war starts, an energy crisis is obviously emerging, something that everyone could have predicted. The U.S. starts freaking out because we're then held responsible for the energy crisis around the world. And we then we lift the sanctions on Iranian and Russian oil. Immediately, that's what allowed the Iranians to do the toll. They started making more money. Russia started making more money than ever. And then we decide, oh, crap. We need the oil, but now our enemies are getting wealthier because of the global distribution network. So we're going to block the blockade that Iran has. And I've covered it in the last one. The U.S. then seized an Iranian carrier that tried to break through the blockade. They shot the compartment where the engine is. The ship did not sink. The U.S. then were able to take it over. And that was kind of the last we heard about it. We were expecting that it could cause the war to begin. But now, essentially, because of the 60 days have run out, Congress has to make a decision whether this is a war or this is over. Trump's making comments that the war is over. Again, he makes these comments all the time claiming the war is over. But at the same time, we have Pete Hegseth saying the war is not over. And the U.S., we have maps showing how much logistical transit is occurring between Europe and the Middle East, where the U.S. is clearly moving men and ammunition to the Middle East, which would signify that the U.S. is expecting the ceasefire to end. Today is the day. And that the war, we're going back to war. The war is going to kick off again. Who knows? Could be tonight, could be tomorrow. We don't exactly know. And out of all of this, what's become apparent is that Trump is not in control. Everyone who has insider information has been claiming that Trump did not want this war from the beginning. What we speculated as well, and many people did. But if he didn't want the war and now he wants to get out, how are we going to get out? Right? This is just like Iraq 2.0 or Afghanistan. It's like once we move all the men and we get all the stuff there, with the people we have in the administration, the neocons, the Zionists, I don't see it as getting out. I just don't see it. I don't see the will of the U.S. to actually turn about, because this has not gone well. And I'm going to show you a video. This was a CNN report showing the 16 bases we had in the Gulf have been, some of which entirely destroyed, some of them just massively damaged. But those radar systems, do you remember I was showing you these domes at these military bases the U.S. had in the Gulf? These were radar systems, and they are very expensive. There's 8, I believe it was 7, maybe it was 7 or 8 they had, all of which have been hit, damaged, or totally destroyed. 2 of those 7 or 8 are over $1 billion. That's how expensive they are. It's the most expensive item the U.S. has in that region. Those have been destroyed. All of them are $500 million or more. And so I'm going to show you that video as we move through here. But that is kind of where we're at, is that it's a standstill. Now, during this ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, the U.S. has not only blocked the Strait of Hormuz, they are also taking control of the Straits of Malacca. So what do I mean by that? If you're looking at this map over here in Malaysia, you'll see this is a very, very important area right here called the Straits of Malacca. So China, all the stuff that goes to East Asia comes through that little strait. And the U.S. has basically also blockaded. And according to Hegseth and some people, we're going to do a global blockade. That's what I'm saying. What is the U.S. doing? It's really hard to tell because every single person has a different message. Now, while this ceasefire and these blockades are going on, Israel, of course, has been annihilating Christians in southern Lebanon. And so right here you can see, this is a great website, by the way, IranWarLive.com, IranWarLive.com. It's a great resource. It's updated all the time in real time. And so the latest thing right here is Israel, of course, ground troops were engaged in combat, and there was an aircraft or drone carried out attack here in southern Lebanon. I got video. I mean, Netanyahu is bragging about blowing up entire villages in Lebanon. And we've talked about southern Lebanon is very much a Christian area. I have all those videos to show you guys. Now, regarding, let's take a step back. We're going to get into more details about Israel here in just a moment. But I want to share a couple of these clips of people highlighting that Trump has been compromised, or maybe he's not compromised by blackmail or the Epstein stuff. We really don't know for sure. But he clearly is not in control of his own administration, because he's being forced to do things that he is telling his subordinates he doesn't want to do. And yet they keep doing what the other people would like, which is the continuation of war. So I got a couple clips here. Now, Tucker Carlson has already claimed that he knows someone in the Trump administration, has already highlighted that Trump has gotten angry. He has been yelling at people. He didn't want to start this war. He was told by Netanyahu and Israel it would only last a few days. He was misled about the protest in Iran, believing that if they took out the Ayatollah and some of the head leaders of the IRGC, they would just fall over. There'd be upheaval in the streets. The U.S. and Israel can just back the protesters. As I told you, remember, we sent millions of dollars of ammunition to the Kurds, expecting the Kurds to be a middleman to send it to the protesters in Iran. Once the Kurds got the millions of dollars of weapons and ammunition, they thought, wow, these are really nice quality. I think we'll keep them. And so the protesters never even got it, which I think technically it's illegal anyways to arm just political organizations in different countries. But again, it's the U.S. military-industrial complex, so can't be surprised about it. But Tucker has been outspoken that according to his sources, Trump has not wanted this. And here is Marjorie Taylor Greene vocalizing the exact same thing.
To be really clear, this is something that is my own conclusion. To become president of the United States, there's deals that have to be made. Otherwise, you aren't allowed to have that power. And you can go president by president throughout time, and especially throughout our lifetimes. And you can look at every single president and look at their career and the decisions that they made. And you can very quickly see that they made their deal to support Israel at all times. Why does the United States of America do that for one foreign country? It makes absolutely no sense. We don't do that for any other foreign country. No other government on earth does. Every single United States president, the vast majority of members of Congress, completely pledge their allegiance. Governors, too. We have to include governors and state elected officials. They pledge their complete allegiance to the government of Israel and their purpose and their protection and whatever endeavor they decide to pursue, whether it's right or wrong, whether it helps America or even if it hurts America, they still pledge their full allegiance. They make that deal. And Tucker, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, but I believe that Trump had to make a deal like this in order to become president.
And indeed he did. This was today on the Piers Morgan show. This is Tucker Carlson's brother, Buckley Carlson, confirming, again, this idea that Trump has been forced, whether it be by the Adelsons or the money that he has been donated for his second term, or by the people he's hired, or by Netanyahu and Israel themselves. We don't exactly know the situation, but for some reason, Trump seems to go against his own wishes and does what Israel decides.
I just want to say two other things. I disagree that Donald Trump wanted to do this, not only because he articulated it so many times and so aggressively and pushed back against the John Boltons and others during the first term, but I'm certain that right up until the moment that we attacked Iran in this non-war war that we're involved in, he didn't want to. He was resistant to it. He understood that Americans were not on board. He understood Americans and his voters were absolutely opposed to it. And he understood that not only would be bad for us and American power, he understood it would be bad for our allies, but more importantly, for his own political agenda.
You suggesting about Donald Trump was blackmailed? Just say it. You don't have to like.
Those are your words. Well, I'm not suggesting that he's being blackmailed.
Well, what are you saying then? Or are you just making
I'll say very
vague
clearly,
accusations
he's
and
obviously been
insinuations?
pressured. We don't have to speculate where that pressure is coming from because we were just talking about.
Just say what you mean. Stop being a coward. Say what you mean. Stop being a coward. Say what you mean.
I'm not being a coward. He was pressured by Israel and others around him on behalf of Israel.
And so he couldn't say no to them.
So if you highlight that Israel is influencing Trump and his cabinet and administration, that means you immediately think he has to be blackmailed. Doesn't mean the case. It doesn't mean the Epstein stuff that, it's very possible. Many of us have speculated, but just the blackmail isn't the logical follow from Trump being beholden to Israel. There's a lot of reasons why that could be the case. I mean, my gosh, Ivanka's married to Jared Kushner. It's believed by some that Trump converted to Judaism in the end of the 2017-18. Some people speculate. So there's a lot of reasons why Trump could be beholden to Israel that don't have to do explicitly with blackmail. It seems like an argument someone would make to try to discredit the person highlighting the obvious. Now, this is why the debate prompt that Andrew Wilson and Owen Schroyer had regarding is Trump successful, it's more complicated than just yes or no. Because Trump has been successful in certain things, especially the border, some domestic policies. And I get Andrew being worried about the midterm election and that the excessive attacking of Trump is going to open the way for Democrats to take over the House and the Senate, which would essentially bring the U.S. government to a screeching halt because nothing's going to get passed. I get all that. I hope that the Democrats don't win the next midterm election. But at the same time, there's been a lot of things in which he's reneged on, and those have been some of the criticisms that I've been vocalizing. But here is something that's actually beneficial to the United States. Ironically, coming from the Iran conflict, is that U.S. crude just became Europe's number 2 oil supplier, right behind Norway. Atlantic Basin, U.S., Norway, UK, Brazil, and Guyana is straight up replacing the Gulf for Europe. Now, the interesting thing is that while that is taking place, Trump just put a 25% tariff on all automobiles coming from Europe. So anybody out there buying a Mercedes or BMW or Volvo, whatever it may be, Volkswagen, they're going to be a little bit more expensive. And this has to do with his frustration with the Europeans apparently reneging on a deal that they had already agreed to. And so because of that, Trump is enforcing higher tariffs. I believe it had to do with them building manufacturing hubs here in the United States. So apparently the Europeans haven't followed through with that. So again, very interesting dynamic between the U.S. and Europe right now. We have the U.S. filling the void of crude oil due to the conflict with Iran and the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. We have Europe wanting to rebuild its military. We see the remilitarization of Germany, and really many of the European nations realizing that Trump, Vance has already said that we're not going to be fighting the wars on behalf of Europe. A lot of them still want to go to war against Russia, which would be a suicide mission. But we see the political situation between the U.S. and Europe, who are our natural allies, right? I mean, just in regards, obviously mass migration has changed us, but just ethnically, culturally, historically, those are our people. We have the most in common with the Europeans, but right now it seems like we're at total odds with each other. And so it's interesting that they're buying our oil, we're filling a void due to the conflict, and at the same time, Trump's then hitting them with tariffs. Very interesting and fluid dynamic occurring there. Now, here is Hegseth in front of Congress. This was just a few days ago, and we've talked about how the Trump administration has still yet to define why we went to war with Iran. We hear it's to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon. Well, I thought the operation that took place in June of 2025, we were told totally annihilated their nuclear program, so that wasn't a possibility. Well, then we said it's to stop nuclear enrichment. Oh, so that's why we're there. And then we were told that there may have been a special operation around Isfahan. Remember the pilot that got shot down, the 2 that we had to rescue? And a lot of military people were speculating that doesn't sound right. It sounded like that, SEAL Team 6 was there. It sounded like there was a special operation to go into one of the underground bunkers and steal the enriched uranium to end this war. Well, that didn't happen. And now they're talking about, well, we just have to get the Strait back to the way it was before the war started, and then we'll be happy. So it's really fluid on why exactly we started this war. And here's Hegseth trying to defend the fact that he seems to contradict himself one after another.
Who's hell-bent on getting a nuclear weapon and get them to a point where they're at the table giving it up in a way that
so they
never have it.
So they haven't broken yet. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet for all of the...
Well, their nuclear facilities have been obliterated. Underground, they're buried, and we're watching them 24/7. So we know where any nuclear material
reclaiming
might be.
my time for
we're watching
a quick second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of...
Well, having ambitions is not the same thing as an existential threat to America, as we've been told. And he's actually vocalized that phrase multiple times. So if we obliterated their nuclear program, who cares whether they wanted to get another nuclear program up and running or attain a nuclear weapon? They don't have the means. They don't have the ability, according to them, if what they told us was true.
The thousands
So
of
Operation Midnight
the
Hammer
weakest
accomplished
moment.
nothing of substance. It
You're
left
missing-
us at
you're
exactly
missing
the
the
same
point.
place we were before. So much so
their
that we had to
facilities
start
were
a
bombed
war.
and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional shield.
All right,
of
let me
missiles.
try again.
It's the
The
North
pa-
Korea strategy. You know this very well. The North
I
Korea
know.
strategy was use conventional missiles to prevent anybody from challenging them, so they could slow walk their way to a weapon. President Trump saw Iran at its weakest moment, took an action to ensure, in a way that only the United States of America could do with our Israeli partners,
And yet
to
they
ensure their
still haven't given
conventional
up the nuclear.
shield was
All right.
brought
One
to
other
heel, which
question,
we've done.
if I could get to it. So on you.
Who's hell-bent.
The irony is the conventional shield he's talking about, the Iranians have, they have thousands of conventional weapons still underground. Meanwhile, if you watch some of the latest reporting regarding the U.S. military situation for ammunitions, they're having to move missiles from Europe to the Middle East right now, from the Pacific to the Middle East. We only make, at least this was one article I was reading, that some of these missiles that we're firing off, tens, dozens at a time, we can only produce like 100 in a year. That's like the annual production level. Trump has been trying to get them up to like 40 a month. But Trump just said a weird thing the other day. He said that we actually have double the amount of weaponry we did before the war, which, if you sit and think about it, that doesn't make much sense. Are these missiles like mercury? Like every time you drop a weapon, 2 more bombs appear? Mercury just beads up, and if you hit the bead of mercury, then you'll get 2. It just keeps splitting. It's like, what is going on? How have we doubled our ammunition supply, our military missile supply since the war started, when we're having to move weapons to the Middle East, which is already, that's why Japan is now building up their Navy. They got a permission. The 2 countries from World War II that everybody was worried about. And let's just face it, the Japanese and the Germans are incredibly good at building, engineering, mass production. That's one of the reasons why they were such formidable enemies during World War II. Both of those nations are now building up militaries, partly because of U.S. military strategy. And so Japan feels like vulnerable right now, which they are. South Korea feels vulnerable. South Korea is probably not going to exist due to their demographic situation, lowest reproductive rate in the world. But we are spending, well, remember I showed you the report when the war started? Now, this is before the ceasefire, when we were actually shooting off missiles. $1.6 billion a day, not to mention the destruction of our U.S. bases, which is billions of more dollars that have been destroyed. So this has not been great for us. And here's the thing that I hate about this, is I hate the Democrats and the liberals and the progressives and all these fake politicians, like these guys questioning Hegseth. Here's the problem, is they're asking him real questions. I hate that, because it then looks like the Democrat congressmen are like legitimate men saying this. No, the problem is the Trump allowed this PR nightmare where Democrats can level legitimate criticisms about Israel control of the government. How much money are we spending on the war? What's the reason for the war? Things that a normal, rational person would ask, but it makes the Democrats look good, which is part of the problem, right? And it's going to play poorly regarding the midterms, because it's going to look like the Democrats are keeping the Trump administration in check due to the Trump administration just making faulty decisions. If we didn't do the Iran war and Trump just released the Epstein files, now, just given the Zionism and everything else regarding the Trump administration, if just those 2 things, this is still a pretty fairly successful administration. There's not you can still find criticism, deportation numbers, stuff like that. But the Iran war and the Epstein files were such a debacle for Trump that it's giving ammunition to Democrats. That's the problem. Both sides are evil. Absolutely. No, I don't mistaken what I'm saying here. I'm not saying, yes, I would like the Republicans to win the midterm. I'm not saying that as somehow Republicans are heroes or we're going to vote our way out of this. Of course not. The U.S. government is the problem. The entire bureaucratic structure is the problem. these are false dialectics, as we've talked about. But let's just face it, if the Democrats get in, I mean, there's no possibility of any, good legislation being passed. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So here is then another congressman who I am not a fan of Ro Khanna and at all, but because Pete Hegseth won't admit to how much it costs for the U.S. to run this war with Iran, it makes this guy look reasonable when he's a loon. Ro Khanna's a freaking loon. Like, that's the problem, the PR nightmare with all this stuff, is that Hegseth looks like he's trying to obfuscate from something. So check this video out, and I hate that it makes like Ro Khanna look like a reasonable gentleman.
Taxpayers in terms of the strike to the Iranian school where kids were killed. You have that number? In terms of the missiles we used?
As I've said, that unfortunate situation remains under investigation.
You don't know how much it costs the taxpayer?
But I wouldn't tie a cost to that, to anything.
It's a reasonable question, no, sir? I mean, our taxpayer money was going there. Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran war?
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that opportunity.
I would simply...
Why would they have a nuclear bomb if you just said Operation Midnight Hammer in June of 2025 eliminated the possibility of any nuclear program? That's where it's like, one of these things has to be true. Either we didn't do that or we did do that. And if we did do that, according to what they said, why would we go to war to prevent a nuclear bomb? Like, it's not an existential threat. And even according to our own intelligence agencies, they wouldn't even have the potential for long-range nuclear targeting places somewhere in North America for another decade. So they couldn't even hit the United States for at least, even if, let's say they had a nuclear bomb right now. They don't even have the ability to hit the United States. What they could hit, though, it's that little country in the Middle East, Israel. So that's really what it's about.
Simply ask you what you're playing gotcha questions about domestic things. I'm not.
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased.
Why
cost
won't
of
you
gas
answer what
and
it costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
You don't even know what the average American is paying. You don't know what we paid in terms of the missiles that hit the Iranian school. You don't know what we're paying in terms of gas. You don't know what we're paying in terms of food. Your 25 billion number is totally off. It's the incompetence.
You see what I mean? Like, that little soundbite makes Ro Khanna look like some type of serious congressman when the dude is a progressive loon. I hate it. I hate that these people look good. Now, regarding Israel, this is some of the latest stuff, and this will get your blood boiling for sure. So Israel, as I told you, is not stopping their vicious attacks on Christians in Lebanon. And they're not going to stop. This is just from the other day. Let's see. No, this was from today. I'm sorry. Israel demolished a monastery and a nun school in the Lebanese village of Yurun. Soldiers were filmed manually laying explosives inside religious buildings. At least 9 religious sites gone across the border villages, churches, mosques, Roman-era shrines on UNESCO's protected list. Israel's own defense minister called it the Rafah model. So what they've done in Gaza, what they're doing in the West Bank, same thing they're going to do in southern Lebanon. The problem is, so let me explain something to you guys regarding Lebanese politics. Here's the thing, is you say, well, how come Lebanon isn't mustering a military response? Because they don't really have one. Well, how come the politicians in Lebanon aren't vocally criticizing, Israel and the United States? Because they're bought and paid for. They're shills. So who then do Lebanese people turn to? Hezbollah. So they have no option. their government will not fight Israel because they're bought and paid for. So the only resistance that can be mustered is Hezbollah. And I'm going to show you articles from the Times of Israel highlighting that they've actually been incredibly effective. Incredibly effective. So nobody's hiding what this is. The question is why almost nobody is covering it. And this is a source from Lebanon's national news agency, The Arab. And then here's a quote. The IDF senior officers dropped the raw truth. Quote, we achieved our military objectives in Iran, but if Iran still gets nuclear weapons, everything we did will be considered a failure. We accomplished nothing. The goal is to make building the weapon so expensive, risky, and slow that the Ayatollahs eventually give up and get overthrown before they succeed. Seems unlikely. Seems unlikely. And so this whole idea is that they're fighting a Iranian proxy in Lebanon. Well, here's Netanyahu 2 days ago bragging Lebanon. He says Lebanon continuing. This is the official Benjamin Netanyahu X account. And his video is bragging about just destroying, how many civilians have been killed? We know that it's over 1,000. We know that much. I mean, they demolish entire apartment buildings because there may be some Hezbollah resistance inside of it. But they don't know. They're just killing. And here is a video of the damage of the U.S. military bases. I believe this is a CNN report. I'm going to speed it up because it's a few minutes. So we're going to put the playback speed at like 2x. We're not going to play the audio. But you can see the devastation of the U.S. military bases. Iran cooked American military's footprint in the Middle East. Tehran hammered at least 16 U.S. bases across 8 countries. That's the majority of U.S. entire presence in the region. Once bustling spots like Camp Buring in Kuwait went from karaoke nights to ghost town rubble. They wrecked 500 million E-3 Sentry planes, destroyed almost every giant radome, as I said, are anywhere between $500 million to over $1 billion for one of those radomes, smashed key radars, and even hit Qatar's massive Al Udeid war room twice. The impregnable fortresses are now sitting ducks. So this is the report from CNN, and you can just see the devastation of the U.S. military bases. All the soldiers have been pulled out.
A CNN investigation found evidence of unprecedented destruction. We can reveal that strikes damaged at least 16 U.S. installations across 8 countries.
According to our analysis and sourcing, that's the majority of American military positions in the region, and some of them are virtually unusable now. A U.S. source familiar with the situation told us that they'd never seen anything like this at American bases, that these were rapid, targeted strikes using advanced technology. Iran's main targets? Multi-million-dollar aircraft, like this Boeing E-3 Sentry, which gave the U.S. a huge amount of visibility over the Gulf. It's out of production, and in today's money, it's worth nearly $500 million. Critical communications equipment. Look at these giant golf balls. They're known as radomes, and they protect satellite dishes vital for data transmission. In this base alone, Iran destroyed all but one of the radomes less than a month into the war. And crucially, radar systems. Highly sophisticated, expensive, difficult to replace, and critical to air defense. A second U.S. source, this one a congressional aide familiar with damage assessments, described these as the most cost-effective of the targets. Our radar systems, they said, are our most expensive and our most limited resource in the region. For U.S. allies in the region, there's a dilemma. In some ways, Iran's show of force makes the U.S.'s presence in the region even more necessary to Gulf security. But there's a new reality here, which is that U.S. military installations, previously seen as formidable fortresses, have turned into sitting targets. As a Saudi source told me, the war has shown Saudi Arabia, that's the U.S.'s longest-standing Arab ally, that the alliance with the U.S. cannot be exclusive, and it is not, in their words, impregnable. To get a sense of just how vulnerable U.S. facilities have become, have a look at this. It's the war room at Qatar's El Udeid Air Base. the theater, command, and control hub for U.S. air power across 21 nations. Struck not just once, but twice, and according to a U.S. source, causing significant damage. The base had been largely evacuated at this point, and no casualties were reported. Iran's visibility over its targets has never been clearer. In 2024, according to the Financial Times, Tehran secretly acquired a Chinese satellite, known as the TEE-01B, a massive upgrade from its own satellites. That means that Tehran went from looking at images of this quality to this. This is the first time America has fought an adversary with satellites that capture high-res imagery almost as detailed as its own. As the scale of the damage comes into focus, many will wonder whether America's presence, once a protective shield in the Middle East, has turned into its Achilles heel. Tamara Khablawi, CNN, London.
So that's just the case. This is a Pentagon official. We do not discuss battle damage assessments for operation security reasons. Our forces remain fully operational, and we continue to execute our mission with the same readiness and combat effectiveness. Now, here's an article about what's going on in Israel. IDF soldier killed in South Lebanon drone attack as Israel, Hezbollah trade fire and blame. Now, as I said, this is becoming very costly for the Israelis, but they have officially, and here's the scary part, is that we're not talking about the Ben Gavirs or Ben Smotriches or Netanyahus of the Likud party or anything like that, the more radical, hell-bent politicians in Israel. No. The average normie, kind of centrist Israeli politician has already vowed to support the annexing of southern Lebanon as part of Israel. So if you think Israel is going to give up that territory, as I showed you in the last Logos news stream, Netanyahu basically, paraphrasing, but said, hell no, we're not. It's ours now. And, I have a friend in the Logos Academy, shout out to Najib. His family lives right on the border between Lebanon and Israel. And he's already talked about how churches, places he used to go as a kid have already been destroyed, that his family has been talking about some of the terroristic attacks that essentially the IDF and Israel has been doing to them, blowing up the bridges so they can't get out of the region. They can't even cross the Litani. They try to sort of temporarily repair it. I don't know what the status is on some of those bridges right now, but that's why Israel bombed them, to trap the people in southern Lebanon, prevent Hezbollah from getting to southern Lebanon, all that different stuff. So multiple soldiers, this was just from the other day, right? This is April 30th, yesterday. Soldier killed, 15 injured in Hezbollah drone attacks. IDF strikes in Lebanon. Terror groups target terror groups, right? I'm not even promoting Hezbollah, but you have to have the context of the situation here, right? The context is there is nobody to fight on behalf of the Lebanese. Their government is not doing it. Their military won't do it. They don't even have a serious military. The only resistance is Hezbollah. And really, if you look at the actions, now I'm not supporting Hezbollah, not supporting Hamas, but if you just compare the definitions of terroristic activity, it sure seems like the IDF are the culprits. And that is not me supporting Hezbollah or Hamas. I know that they have done terrible things. We just showed from the Tucker Carlson exclusive last news stream that Netanyahu was funneling $35 million of U.S. taxpayer money a month, funneling it through Qatar to Hamas. A month. Now, why would Netanyahu fund Hamas? Because it's the false dialectic. It's the problem, reaction, solution. You create the problem, you react to it, just like the stand down orders on October 7th, right? Remember, even Charlie Kirk at that time was still an arch-Zionist. He said, my gosh, I've been to Israel. There is no way that they could just, parachute and just climb over the fence there and just have a terrorist attack unless the IDF allowed it, which we know they did. There were stand down orders. They let those people be massacred, so there was a reason to go in level Gaza, which they've done. So if again, me looking at this, Sure seems like the Israelis and especially the IDF have acted more like a terrorist organization than, let's face it, the radical Islamic organizations that they're fighting, which in the Hamas case, Israel, Netanyahu was legitimately and literally funding. And so this was a comment that Pope Leo made that I thought was a bit strange. You know, he's been outspoken against the war and everything, but he said, I carry in my pocket an image of a Muslim child killed in Lebanon. I cannot be in favor of the war. But why the Muslim child? As we've already highlighted, there's been so many Christians already killed. He was just in Algeria doing, praying in a mosque, which, again, a Catholic 500 years ago would not be doing that. Now, it's not me supporting Catholicism, but showing how the Catholic Church has been on this progressive lineage for really since the Great Schism. You could argue since 800 with Charlemagne and the Holy Roman Empire. But why not highlight that in southern Lebanon, it's the Christians. It's an ancient Christian community that's under attack. That they're blowing up churches explicitly. They're mocking Jesus Christ. They're taking sledgehammers to statues of Jesus. And he wants to talk about the image of a Muslim child. All children dying is terrible. But wouldn't it be more appreciative if the Pope actually spoke out against the historic Christian communities that are being killed by the Israelis? So, typical rhetoric coming from the Vatican there. Here was a news report of a Palantir whistleblower talking about terrorists have taken over the U.S. government. And so this was a former ex-Palantir executive. So this isn't some, low figure in Palantir that's coming up with some theory. This is a former ex-Palantir executive. And this is what he posted. I'm an ex-Palantir executive, and it is factually correct that Palantir Tech intended to take over the U.S. government while heavily funding the effort. Many of my ex-colleagues are now installed inside the U.S. government apparatus. There is a reason the C-suite of Palantir has me blocked. The enemy is within, and we are currently an occupied nation. We basically have a terrorist entity deeply embedding itself into the U.S. government. Now, we've been talking about this, Palantir Tech. We've seen J.D. Vance come out, who is, again, an acolyte of Peter Thiel, and speak glowingly about Palantir, how if we utilize some of their surveillance technology, we could totally eliminate illegal immigrants in the country. We could monitor and track anybody who committed violent crimes. We could solve murders much more easily, all this different stuff, which I said before this second Trump administration that watch, already given my stuff, all my research in transhumanism and from my book, Return to Babylon, I already suspected that J.D. Vance was going to recharacterize the technologies of Palantir as somehow in favor of a conservative ethos and policymaking. Well, the CIA was like the largest contractor with Palantir. Palantir, again, founded, owned by Peter Thiel. And who has been using Palantir the most in regards to military activity? Israel. Remember, was it Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, brag about how effective the IDF has been in fighting Hamas in Gaza by using their targeting technology? And remember, I've already reported that this came out, 3 or 4 weeks ago, that the U.S. is using Palantir in the war with Iran. Now, it's interesting that Palantir as an organization has been so explicitly pro-Zionist. Makes sense now, doesn't it? And so when he's talking about embedding itself inside the U.S. government, it's already a known fact that there's entire sections within the Pentagon that are for the Israelis. Now, what sovereign nation inside their military headquarters like the Pentagon allows another foreign nation to have all their analysts there present? And remember, at the beginning of this Trump administration, I'm blanking on the guy's name, but he was a personal friend of Pete Hegseth. He was a non-Zionist. He was an anti-Zionist. Now, I know that's ironic because Pete Hegseth is a Zionist, and in 2018 said he wanted to create a holy war to rebuild the third temple, bring forth the Antichrist, what he believes is, I guess, useful for the second coming of Christ in his warped dispensationalist mind. But he, the friend of Pete Hegseth, once he, just based on public posts being critical of Israel, and then he did an interview with Tucker Carlson highlighting that almost everyone inside the Pentagon is a Zionist of some sort. If they're not, in fact, Jewish or Israeli, they have the same general geopolitical mindset. So, shouldn't be surprising, but I thought that was worthy news for everyone to see. Now, here is everyone's favorite dwarf neocon, Mark Levin, just went on his show and spoke out against the First Amendment, free speech in America. Why? Because we have to protect against anti-Semitism. And now, why is this important? Generally speaking, Mark Levin says something, who gives a shit, right? It's Mark Levin. He has a weekend talk show on Fox. Can't be that influential, right? Well, think again. Notice how many times President Trump has posted on Truth Social telling people to go watch Mark Levin's show. Now, it's been speculated that Mark Levin, even though he's not some major media figure, for one reason or another, does have an inside seat within the Trump administration and has acted as a mouthpiece to test the response about various ideas and initiatives of the Trump administration. And so, for example, he was in favor of the Iran war before we got into the Iran war, was talking, all the talking points the Trump administration is now using. He's already advocated that we need to go to the next level and begin to think about nuclear weapons. We need to use tactical nukes against Iran, according to Mark Levin. And then we saw reports that the Trump administration was potentially thinking about that. That's when they got a response from Russia and China, said, you better not, don't do it. Well, now Mark Levin, and it makes you speculate, is this something that the Trump administration is already thinking? I've highlighted how many videos in these Logos news streams highlighting all these attempts to pass legislation regarding anti-Semitism. Seems like the Trump administration may be on board, and it does seem like the conspiracy theories that Mark Levin is really a mouthpiece to test ideas on the MAGA base is true. Here is his latest attempt to undermine the First Amendment in order to stop anti-Semitism.
First time things like this have happened, but it really is problematic because so much of it is protected. And you heard people say, don't you believe in the First Amendment? They don't even know what the First Amendment believes. Do you want to deplatform people? The libs do that. I don't have any problem with deplatforming Nazis or jihadis. I don't have any problem with deplatforming them. What does that mean, deplatform?
Oh, so if you're critical of Israel, because that's really what this is about, you're either a Nazi or you're a jihadi. Notice the two arch enemies of Jews, the German Nazis and the Holocaust and the concentration camps, and then the radical jihadist fanatics that are hell-bent on destroying democracy and Western Judeo-Christian values. Interesting.
Forming them a government law? No. It means that X or Twitter or Facebook or Amazon with Twitch and so forth says, you know what, you're a lowlife. We're not paying, get off our platform. What's wrong with that? It's called private enterprise. I got no problem with that. I mean, what if they have this horrific pornography on it? Is that okay? No, it's not okay. What if they have a bunch of drug addicts, shooting up all the time? Is that okay? No, that's not okay. Because our kids have access to it. People who are impressionable have access to it. What if they had people screaming at the top of the lungs saying, assassinate this guy and assassinate that guy? Well, they shouldn't do that. Why? What's the standard? You need to have a standard. What should the law be? What does the Constitution say? I just think we've taken this too far. Because because we're not even talking about political speech, which is the most protected of all speech. We do limit speech. We limit speech pornography. We limit speech cigarettes on the air, and so we limit speech booze. We limit speech drugs, and I could go on and on and on.
So if you're critical of Israel, the fact that people might be able to hear those ideas and they may influence impressionable minds means it's the same category as hardcore pornography or drugs or explicit drug use. What? What the hell is this guy talking about?
There's different types of speech. There's commercial speech, right? There's religious speech. There's political speech. They're babbling buffoons. We see that all over the internet. Most of that is protected too, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the kind of speech that really gets in the head of people who want to do grave damage to other people. Incitement. And I'm not talking about it in an ambiguous way. When you get a guy that talks about killing a senator, oh, I really didn't mean it. Or when you get a guy that says, yeah, I don't know if there's really rape, can you prove it, and so forth on October 7th. Well, he's allowed to say that. But in the pattern of what this person is saying, what is it that they're trying to do? Have a real discussion? No. No, he'll say that, but he's not. The overthrow of the country? Let me ask you this. Do you think the founders would have put up with this?
Would the founders put up with criticism of Israel and AIPAC lobby? Yeah, I think they would have. I think they'd be horrified by the situation we find ourselves in. And it doesn't stop, right? So here's Tucker Carlson, who talked explicitly about Mark Levin's comments on his show just the other night.
But he's just a weekend host on Fox News. Who cares what Mark Levin says? Well, as if on cue, Mark Levin's suggestion on Fox News has now been bolstered by an actual piece of legislation sponsored by Josh Gottenheimer, the Democrat from New Jersey, and amazingly, Republican MAGA stalwart Mike Lawler, two of the most florid and least ashamed neocons in the United States Congress, introduced legislation today to compel the tech companies to ban people who criticize Israel, the government of Israel, because that's hate. And under the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, they're right. The definition that's been encoded in law in the majority of American states and in 40 countries around the world. The definition we didn't pay any attention to because it seemed too dumb and like, who cares? That definition is now the operative definition, and it means that criticizing the behavior of a foreign government is a hate crime and can get you censored in your own country.
And you think that that's like exaggerated rhetoric about all this stuff? No. I went and looked it up. Here is the bill. This is Mike Lawler, Republican, who has a bipartisan bill with Congressman Josh Gottenheimer. And what is it? It is IGO Anti-Boycott Act amends the export control reform, basically to say that it's going to extend the existing anti-boycott laws, meaning you can't boycott Israel. And now you can't even criticize Israel because it's a form of anti-Semitism. He says, I am proud to introduce this, a bipartisan effort to protect U.S. citizens, businesses, and... What? The whole thing's about Israel. What? How are you protecting... What? I'm confused. Particularly Israel from discriminatory boycotts, said Congressman Lawler. This bill closes a critical loophole by ensuring that international organizations cannot enable harmful BDS efforts. So you can't even criticize them. You can't even choose not to do business with Israel. And of course, you come down here, it says AIPAC strongly supports the IGO Anti-Boycott Act, which makes clear the U.S. will not continuance UN-instigated boycotts of our ally Israel. Yeah, our ally Israel. The Republican Jewish coalition strongly supports the IGO Anti-Boycott Act, Congressman Lawler's common sense bill to prevent international organizations like the UN and the EU from censoring American companies to support BDS. stated Senator Norm Coleman, national chairman of the RJC, and Matt Brooks, CEO of the RJC. So that's what I'm saying, guys. And I've been saying this for what? Months and months. Be careful, the anti-Semitism bills are coming. Be careful, the anti-Semitism bills. I've showed you so many videos. The anti-Semitism czar for the Trump administration, some rabbi, talking about how if you are an anti-Semite, you will not be able to buy or purchase goods, and you won't even be allowed to have a job in the United States. That came from the anti-Semitism czar of the Trump administration. Here is legislation beginning to put this stuff into place. And in regards to Tucker speaking out about this, this was a shocking report from yesterday. The Tucker Carlson network highlighted that his ratings records, he broke them at Fox, and today he's reaching multiples of that audience independently at 56.8 million views per episode. 56.8 million across all social media and podcast platforms. And Timcast had this to say, I don't think people understand the magnitude of this reporting. Tucker just shattered every viewer record for podcasting 5 times over. He's currently 7 times bigger than Joe Rogan on YouTube and is 20 times bigger per episode across all platforms. 20 times bigger. Insane. Now, he's getting that because people are fed up with Israel. And let's face it, Tucker's been really good lately on the Israel issue. That's one issue that we can certainly agree with him on. Here's a Turkish activist. He has like a German accent. I don't know if there's so many Turks in Germany. Does it really matter? Hussein Oral says Israeli soldiers beat him, took 1,000 euros from him, and his ID during the recent flotilla raid. 175 detained, 22 boats stopped near Crete. Amnesty reported similar claims in October 2025. And I believe a lot of these people were on a plane. I think everyone but 22 people have already been on a plane back to Turkey. I saw a report today. And then here is, you know how Israel just loves Christians, right? Here's a video of a Jewish man running up and just pushing over a Catholic nun in Jerusalem for no reason at all. A Catholic nun was shoved at King David's tomb in Jerusalem by a 36-year-old Jewish man who was arrested. Clergy in the Old City face rising spitting, attacks, and harassment despite condemnations. A city sacred to 3 religions isn't protecting those coming to pray. So remember how we always talk about these Judeo-Christian values and how Israelis, they don't attack Christians. They protect Christians, right? They allow Christians to go to the Holy Land. Meanwhile, they tried to shut down the Church of the Holy Sepulchre during Holy Week. Glory to God. The descent of the Holy Fire still occurred this year. And we were able to have people present in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. But it's unreal. And it goes on. These aren't isolated events. This is a photo of the guy, Yonah Schreiber, the Jewish extremist who attacked a French Catholic nun in Jerusalem a few days ago. Then he kicked her. You guys see that? He pushed her to the ground, then he kicks her. He pushed her to the ground for no reason. Looks like she hits her head against that block. He begins to walk away. She's clearly laying in pain. Then he says something to the other Jewish guy with a yarmulke on. Then he kicks her. Kicks her while she's laying on the ground. But again, par for the course. This is business as usual. This was actually making the round. Shout out to the World War Now guys. Former Ukrainian rabbi Edward Hodos converts to Orthodox Christianity and proclaims, quote, Chabad is planning to genocide the Slavic population in Russia and Ukraine. They are preparing the land for a new heavenly Jerusalem. Now, if you go to my YouTube channel, I posted a video last week documenting the historical connections between the Khazars and Jewish communities and Ukraine. And I showed you guys a video of a rabbi talking about how Ukraine is another promised land. He talked about how beautiful Ukraine was, all the resources and the land. And we've already highlighted Colonel Douglas Macgregor stating that there's a Jewish police force in southern Ukraine. About 30,000 Jews have taken over a city that was, in a sense, deserted. There weren't that many inhabitants anymore. They're essentially taking it over and preventing any non-Jews from entering. According to Colonel Douglas Macgregor and the reports he's had, wearing what appears to be almost American police uniforms, military-type uniforms. Here, then, is another rabbi, thankfully, glory to God, converted to Orthodoxy, stating what their ultimate plan is, which is exactly what I was highlighting in that video. So if you want to hear more detailed explanation on the history between the Khazars, the Khazarian Empire, Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, the history of Eastern Europe, the fact that there's never been a prime minister of Israel, that either he or his parents were not born in either Ukraine or Poland. I think there was one that they're from Belarus, basically, again, the same area. Interesting. Wow. So there's never been a prime minister from Israel not born in Ukraine, Poland, or Belarus. Strange. So worthy of note there. Oh, and then, of course, he was banned on YouTube after talking about all that stuff. Now, why would YouTube ban that? Is it because he was a former rabbi and may have some inside information now that he's an Orthodox Christian? Huh. Here, I don't know if you guys saw this. This is actually pretty interesting. Israeli minister Ben Gvir's English translator, Yishai Flesher, says Nick Fuentes is right about everything he claims Israel is planning to do. He says, quote, "You're all saying this as if it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's God's plan. It's the historical plan for the Jewish people. And Israel has every right to extend its defense to the Arab countries and across the region. You're right. From the Indian Sea to the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aqaba, the Suez Canal, and the Mediterranean, we're going to have a lot of control over that, and it's going to be good for the world," he says. Now check this out.
They're going to topple Iran, and once they do, Israel's going to become a very rich country.
I love this guy. I love this guy. We're gonna topple Syria and Iran. True. Control Gaza and the West Bank, Judea and Samaria. You're right. Absolutely. I can't disagree with that. Good.
They're going to have the sovereign wealth funds of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, pouring all their oil money into Israel.
This is sounding great. This guy's great, okay? I don't know about this control of media business. That sounds like classic anti-Semitism. But this vision of a big, powerful Israel and the Arabs in line with that, I like that a lot. I like the sound of that. You're making me want to win all these wars even more.
Israel's going to get all this money from the trade that goes through the Rimland.
You're right, bro. You're right. It looks like the Lord made us a nation that dwells alone morally, but in terms of human history, we're at the heart of the crossroads of civilizations. You're absolutely right. We're going to benefit through that. That's right. That's what God's plan is.
All the trade from India to Europe, China to Europe, all the trade that goes through the Suez, the Persian Gulf, all the trade that goes overland through the Middle East, they're going to collect a toll on all that.
Sounds nice. Where's your proof that that's a bad thing? Like, have you read the Bible, or are you too Catholic for the Bible? What's the deal? Like, okay, I mean, I love...
So condescending. The Jewish guy wants to ask if you've read the Bible. Yeah, I have read the Bible. You know who the Messiah is? He's already come. Guess what? There's a new covenant. Guess what? We are Israel. Guess what? You guys are an inversion. You are the empire of Antichrist. That's me reading the Bible. And I can bring all the verses to back that up.
Love your assessment. I love it. It's fabulous. It's good. It's good for the world. You're making me happy. You're making this settler you're making my day, man. You're making my holiday coming up. But where's but you're saying all this stuff in some kind of conclusory language that this is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's God's plan. It's historical plan. And Israel has every right to sit in the crossroads and extend its defense to the Arab countries and to this region. You're right. From the Indian Sea to the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aqaba and the Gulf of Suez and the Mediterranean. You're right. We're going to have a lot of power and control of that, and it's going to be good for the world.
The gravity of how much power the Jews wield in the world today and how much more power they'll wield when they're finished with what they're doing in the Middle East.
Can I hire you as my PR agent, bro? You are just fabulous. Nick, you are like, I don't know, and your cute little punim, your little Shayna punim, your little facey, your little baby face. It just does a great job. If you weren't just such a, if you didn't have all these other issues, you'd be a great PR dude on our side. You know, guys like this, you never know. He might switch. He might flip at some point because he's a thinking guy, but he's also, he's powerful inside. He may come to different conclusions suddenly. I could see that. I hope he does, because all the stuff that you said, especially about Israel and the Middle East, is right, and hopefully will come to fruition. And I don't think there's anything bad in that. Let's let Nick finish off.
You thought we couldn't stop them before? Wait until they don't need us.
Touche! We don't need you. We don't need you. We don't need you. We need God. We need history. We need the promises to Abraham.
And they need the money of U.S. taxpayers to fit the bill for Israel's existence, because they couldn't exist without it. If they didn't have us, they can't take on the entire Muslim world. It would not exist. It would be over. And what they would do is the Samson option. Israel's already said what they're going to do. If they come to an existential threat where they may no longer exist, they're going to use their nuclear weapons, which they claim they don't have, but everybody knows they have since JFK. They're going to use their nuclear weapons against the Muslim nations. But that's their only line of defense, because without the U.S., they cannot fight this.
And we need you to relax, bro. Get on the team, get on the program, or move out of the way.
Their goal.
Yeah. So it's so infuriating. It's so infuriating. It's the same stuff over and over. It seems like every week I'm just showing you videos of Israelis doing everything to nullify the PR campaign to try to build their, to repair the damage in the Western world. How many Americans you think are aware of these objectives that Israel has? Probably not very many. I would imagine not very many. Nathaniel throws in 5, says, when the Muslims attack, just ask yourselves, what would Vlad do? That's right, guys. For anybody who's joined the stream, we are raising funds today for a community-sponsored stream. I'm going to offer different topic suggestions, but many people have already stated that they would like a sponsored stream on Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracul. But I'm going to give you guys options. If we reach the super chat goals today, I'll create a poll and you guys can choose the next community sponsored stream, which will be I'll present that in 2 weeks. So that is the incentive today if we end up reaching the goal. So shout out to you, Nathaniel. Blink said, Lord have mercy on a burning world. Oh, I've already covered that one. Just got back from Romania. Beautiful country with wonderful people and a fascinating history. Would love to listen to a sponsored stream on Vlad. So we got multiple people interested in Vlad the Impaler. Oh, Logo Cinema. Shout out to Logo Cinema. Throws in a generous $10. Says Christ is risen. Truly he is risen. Love these Logos new streams. These new Logos new streams are awesome. Thank you very much, brother. Keep up the work, brother. Well, absolutely. And Logos News, for you guys don't know, go support Logos Cinema. For those of you who don't know, go support Logos Cinema. It's a new streaming platform for Orthodox content. They're going to be recording, actually, they're doing the recording for Montanica 2026 this year. And I had been trying to set up a meeting. We were trying to before Pascha, and then everything got crazy with Pascha. So shout out to the Logo Cinema guys. Really appreciate all the stuff that you guys are doing. And we can either chat in Montana, or if you are still interested, we can set up some time here in the near future. We'd love to chat with you. We planned on doing a Zoom meeting. So shout out to you, Logo Cinema. God bless you guys and all the work you're doing. Really excited for the project. I've heard nothing but good things from clergy and everyone that I know in the Orthodox world that is familiar with Logo Cinema. So shout out to you guys. Andrew Palamos throws in 5, says lack of repentance is the problem, starting with myself. Yeah, that is ultimately the entire problem with the world. Is it's a spiritual problem. It's a sin problem. It's a pride problem. All of that. So thank you very much, Andrew. Really appreciate that support. B. Rock gifts a Kotal Crew membership. Thank you very much, B. Rock. Oh, and the Logo Cinema did. Wow, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for the support, Logo Cinema. Oh, Austin DeTulio, I know him. Was able to actually hang out with Austin and meet him down in Nashville. That was at DebateCon. Throws in 10, no comment. Thank you so much, Austin. And Tex Mexican throws in 20. Thank you very much, brother. He says, love your content. Was at our old Baptist church, had an Israel rep come out and ask for donations for the... Ooh, my gosh. They had an Israeli rep come and ask for donations for the war? We're catechumens now. Yeah, smart decision. Smart. I can promise you guys, in the Orthodox Church, you will never go to liturgy or a Vesper service or an Orthros or... any other service and have a Israeli rep come out to try to ask for donations. I promise you that won't happen. And Blink throws in another 10, says the delusions of the Zionist tiny hats are demonic. They are demonic. They are demonic. The Talmud. Read the Talmud. If you guys haven't read the Talmud, read the Talmud. The Talmud's demonic. Look what it says about our Lord and Savior. If you've ever looked into Kabbalah, look into Kabbalah. Kabbalah's demonic. So yeah, you're onto something there for sure, my man. And let me check Streamlabs real quick, see if anybody's seen anything in over there just to catch up. Make sure to smash that like, guys. Thank you all for stopping in. We got so much more to cover here, and especially just regarding Israel, we got more to cover. Taylor throws in $3 over on Streamlabs, says the technocratic AI surveillance state is going to be aggressively pitched to the populace under the guise of winning the new arms race / Cold War. However, whoever wins the AI race will actually be the ones most valuable to spiritual rot and chaos. Yes, I totally agree with that. And guess what? Operation Stargate, Project Stargate, $500 billion investment into AI by the U.S. government, sounds like we're the one that are already getting the spiritual rot. And Brendan throws in 5 over on Streamlabs, says, it's amusing to see the Ziocon commentators have completely backtracked on the free speech absolutism they championed about a decade ago. Well, that was when they wanted to promote pornography, right? That was when they wanted to blaspheme Christ. That was when they wanted to criticize white people. Right? Then free speech is absolutely a sacred act of the United States that we must protect at all costs. But once it starts leading towards criticism of Israel and AIPAC and Zionist geopolitics, now the First Amendment becomes problematic. A decade ago, when the left was trying to cancel / censor, now they're losing the arguments. They're calling for censorship. Explicit calling for censorship. Explicit. And now they want to be able to use the government to force tech platforms to deplatform you if you're deemed anti-Semitic. Yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. Okay. Next news item. Still continuing with Israel here. There's so much to get into. Video has emerged of Israeli minister Ben Gvir. Now, we just watched the video of his English translator with covering Nick Fuentes, highlighting everything that Nick Fuentes is saying is actually accurate. Here's Ben Gvir expelling Bedouins from their homes. And a Palestinian citizen says, I have documents in my hand. This is my home. Guess what Israeli Minister Ben Gvir says? I don't care. Leave within 2 hours or you'll die. That's not going to help anti-Semitism either. What about the new woke month that just dropped? This was Owen Schroyer highlighted this on Sesame Street. This is today. Apparently, the month of May is the month of Jewish American Heritage Month. You guys ever heard of that? I never heard that May was Jewish American Heritage Month. When did that become about? So Sesame Street says, happy hashtag Jewish American Heritage Month. Join us this May as we honor and celebrate our Jewish American friends and neighbors in our communities. So you already see they are trying to propagandize the kids because they've already lost the younger generation. And because of that, well, we're going to get into Ben Shapiro. But here, an Israeli settler is recorded at the Catholic Cathedral. Let me begin it from the start here. This is security surveillance of an Israeli settler being recorded at the Cathedral of St. James in occupied East Jerusalem. He spits multiple times, about 3 times at the door of the church, then looks straight into the camera, flips the camera off, and spits 3 more times while using his opposite hand to make a cross. So we've already seen Israelis push down nuns, kick them while they're on the ground, tell Palestinians you have 2 hours to leave your home that you legally and rightfully own or we'll kill you. And then we have this beautiful, beautiful actions from another Israeli. Here, this was an absolutely startling video I saw. This was a guy who's in the West Bank, Andre X. Yesterday, we were attacked by an Israeli settler in Hebron, West Bank. Check this out. You won't believe it.
Fucking Nazi fuck. Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck off. Fuck off?
You fuck off.
We just got attacked by a settler who tried to break into the house, threw rocks at us, and tried to spit at us.
Fucking hell.
مالك؟ شو مالك؟ لما تزورك أبنين؟ لما تزورك أبنين؟ لما تزورك أبنين؟ تسمع قدرش يا مانيك تسات يا جيبي. لما تزورك أبنين يوم شبات. شابس. تسات يا جيبي تسمع قدرش. شابس. تسمع قدرش تعرف تمانية كشرموطة أوروبية زي. أنت لو.
He said, kick that European whore out of your home.
Big rocks and try to break into the house and throw big rocks at me, at the house, at my friends here, without any accountability. They are sponsored by the Israeli government. They are supported by the Israeli media and protected by many parliamentarians. So they go wild.
How often does this happen?
حيال عد صورته عد صورته تري عد صورته حيال عد صورته عد صورته تري عد صورته
IDF soldier just watching it happen.
Shoot him as you shoot Palestinians. Shoot him برجلين. Shoot him in his legs. Shoot him حيال as you shoot Palestinian kids. Shoot him in the legs.
He says, in 5 minutes, the Jewish man said, in 5 minutes, I'm in your house, you whore.
I was attacked many times here. I filed many complaints. I filed complaints against soldiers, against settlers, with videos attacking me, destroying my property, and without any real accountability. He will be released in a few hours.
To be fair to the Israeli army, they did for once tell him to leave, and then he attacked them, and in a truly rare turn of events, he got arrested. And of course, he'll be out in a few hours, and he's likely going to be back, but at least for now, he's under arrest.
They do everything possible to make our life impossible, to force us to leave.
So that's just a little bit of the taste that Palestinians are experiencing, both Muslims and Christians in the West Bank, due to these Israeli settlers basically forcing them out of their homes and then getting inside and occupying them. A true occupation. And so everything that I just showed you demonstrates why the sentiment towards Israel has been on a precipitous decline, especially amongst younger generations. Well, here's Ben Shapiro telling a Chabad synagogue that Elon Musk X is unusable, vile stream of trash, giving extraordinary virality to unknown accounts. I actually reached out to Elon's people directly about this, he reveals. Come on.
First of all, there's certainly a lot of truth to the idea that left-wing teachers are indoctrinating kids into a viewpoint on the world that does cross paths into, what causes the symptom that is Jew hatred. I think that's for sure true. Honestly, I think that the bigger danger when I look at young people right now is social media. Social media is a cesspool. I mean, if you spent any time on X at all over the course of the last couple of years, it is unusable, truly unusable.
Is it because X is the only place that you won't be... there's still censorship, but it's the only place that the Overton window is expanded enough that outright criticism of Israel is very prominent? Is that why X is such a cesspool, Ben?
Usable. I mean, just a vile stream of trash. And I think that was true of TikTok as well. I mean, what do we do? I mean, I think that you only do what you can, meaning that I don't control the algorithms. Hopefully somebody who's more responsible now will help control the algorithms. I'm glad that TikTok was taken away from China. I'm not sure how much algorithmic control is given to the new owners. That's sort of the big question. I think that, Elon should obviously boot the bots from his algorithm, because I think a lot of this is foreign bot driven, frankly. And I think the algorithm creates extraordinary virality. Yes, there's money being used, 100%. Extraordinary virality is being driven for unknown accounts. You can see it in your recommendations. I remember at one point I actually reached out to Elon's people directly about this. So, yes, I agree with you that young people are being faced with a plethora of bad information.
All right. Now that's going to end our little tirade here on Israel. You can only handle so much. And so much of it we already are aware of. Here is a few clips regarding the attempted assassination of Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Did you guys follow any of this? So Trump has had his now third or fourth potential attempted assassination. This gentleman right here is half black, half white teacher from California. This was a new surveillance video. You can see him walking around, checking everything out. And then he puts this jacket on, which is all the weaponry that he had, multiple guns, knives, stuff like this. Now, this was new. This came out yesterday, this video. This was a video that people were seeing of a police dog already pick up that this guy had weapons or something. And the guard completely ignores the alert dog. So you can see here, that's the attempted assassin. He walks in. You see the dog begin to follow him, wanting to follow him, and then the guy pulls it back, not knowing who he is, pulls the dog out. The dog wants to go back in towards the guy, and he then pulls the dog away a second time. Then he comes running out with a gun. Now, people are speculating, could that guy see him getting his gun out? Was he confused? Was he not sure what was going on? We don't know. But the guy runs out. Somehow, he ends up with his shirt off. This was a photo he posted before. His name was Cole Allen. And he took a selfie before the attempted assassination wearing this. First, anybody who tucks their tie into their belt already brings up some suspicious questions for myself. So he's tucking the tie in the belt. Great fashion there for sure. But you see he's got knives. He's got multiple guns, got a handgun, got another handgun. So two handguns, three handguns, and he had a makeshift shotgun. So he snapped these photos. And then this is the response. So what do you notice? I'm going to play this video. What do you guys notice? This is the response of Secret Service as soon as the gunshots were fired at the attempted assassin, which none of them hit him. Okay? So the guy was never hit by a bullet. He shot a police officer who was a security guard with a with his shotgun, hit the protective vest, and the officer survived. He was not injured. So the bulletproof vest ended up saving his life. But what do you guys notice about this video? Anything that you guys pick up on? What's the first thing you guys notice when you see that? Yes, exactly. Exactly. You got what I was getting at. Vance out first is what I noticed. Exactly. That's what I noticed too. Now, a lot of people are speculating this was fake. Potentially. I don't know. I'm not going to claim it is. I don't have evidence for it. But it is strange that Secret Service immediately pulled J.D. Vance out. Immediately. But the security detail of Donald Trump waited like 20 seconds before pulling him out. And he ends up falling, and then they help him up and get him backstage. But interesting that they were so quick to respond to protect J.D. Vance from the supposed assassin. You know, we're kind of slow in protecting Donald Trump, who is sitting dead center on stage. You make of that what you will. I don't know exactly what that means. Are the people that are Vance's detail, are they just more competent? Or what was going on? The detail for Trump didn't even pull him aside until after the police get in front of him. So I thought that was very strange when I first watched it. I was like, what? Why is Donald Trump so slow to be protected by the Secret Service? Very strange. And this is this guy's massive manifesto. He's very, very weird guy. He claims that he had to do this because Donald Trump was or is a pedophile, rapist, criminal, and that what he has done is causing guilt by association to him as being an American citizen, and that he has to do what he has to do because of his status as an American citizen. It's way too long for me to talk about it, but he claims, oh, and if anyone is curious is how doing something like this feels, it's awful. I want to throw up. I want to cry for all the things I wanted to do and never will. For all the people whose trust this betrays. I experience rage thinking about everything this administration has done. Okay. Can't really recommend it. Stay in school, kids. And he was a teacher. This is what the guy looked like. So, I don't know. You guys make of it what you will. I thought this part was funny as there was a video of Kash Patel, director of the FBI, looking scared and terrified while all this is happening. Just sitting there, ducking down. Like, dude, you're the head of the FBI. Get up. Like, get out of... What are you doing? What are you doing? And Kyle Servam says, most of you think Kash Patel is an FBI agent doing investigations, that he carries a badge and a gun for a reason. But it's just cosplay. He has no training, no experience, no value outside taking credit for others' work. He is an ugly Christy Noam. So, can't argue with that, really. Can't argue with that. Let's get into our next set of news items here. And we are going to be looking at a variety of different stories this time. Some of which you guys, I'm sure, did not hear about, but I thought were interesting enough to bring forth today. One of which, and before we do, let's catch up. Let's catch up on the super chat comments. We need 11 more to reach today's goal. 21 to reach the super chat goal. I'll set a new goal once we reach this, but just checking in on the chat here. Serbian Slav Squat throws in a super chat, says, they're wholesome, loving people, talking about the Israelis, who are 100% indigenous to the Levant and have no ancestral ties to the Caucasus region at all. They even need help flipping light switches and calling elevators. Fair enough. Very fair. Okay. This story I just came across today. Very interesting. Apparently it made its rounds a couple years ago, but things have escalated. There is what's known as a self-depicted king of Switzerland is steadily growing his own empire thanks to a legal loophole. What? Jonas Lawiner has acquired more than 110,000 square meters of land for free. According to the Times, Lawiner has acquired 148 bits of land and 83 sections of road in Switzerland thanks to the loophole. Quote, I am fair. I don't shut the roads. I do not charge much for them. I make money by selling the right to construct near my road, and I sell the right of passage if there is a new house. The 31-year-old calls his conquest a military campaign that are carried out digitally and without bloodshed, according to the outlet. The loophole under Swiss law allows anyone to acquire land for free if it is registered as ownerless by making a claim to the local council. And now check out this video.
Who is the self-proclaimed king of Switzerland? And how is he acquiring land for his empire for free? Switzerland has never had a monarchy, but in 2019, at 24 years old, Jonas Lawiner crowned himself king. Many dismissed the ceremony as a joke, and he was depicted as a harmless eccentric. However, he's starting to rile the authorities over his conquest of land in the Confederation. Switzerland has a legal loophole. Under Swiss law, when land is registered as ownerless, anyone can acquire it for free by writing to the local council to state their claim. Lawiner started searching land registries and slowly building what he calls his empire. Today, he has acquired 148 scattered plots across Switzerland, about 117,000 square meters, all for free. Not massive, but strategically placed. That includes 83 sections of road, which gives him real influence over access in certain areas. He's even started charging maintenance fees for use of some of these roads. Lawiner has described it as a digital bloodless campaign. He also has his special forces of the Lawiner Empire. Authorities are now moving to close the loophole, calling his expansion an excessive thirst for power. Lawiner insisted he was not trying to bring instability to Switzerland, only to show that everybody is a king in their own territory.
So, interesting nonetheless. And meanwhile, while that's happening in Switzerland, a German insurance company, health insurer, released a contraceptive ad featuring a German couple in bed with a migrant. So you see this German couple laying there, and oh my gosh, it's a Muslim man who he's now holding his hand, laying next to him in bed. The woman comes back, and you see the two men cuddling, and now he cuddles the girlfriend. This is not AI. This is not fake. This is a real advertisement in Germany for a health insurer. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That is a real advertisement. Gosh, what is going on in Germany? Oh, Lord. Okay. Now here, I saw somebody already mention it. The Ahmadi religion of peace and light. I covered this last year. I did a deep dive into this cult. Now, the interesting thing about this cult is this leader right here is actually from Indiana. He's actually from a town just 20 minutes away from me, where I grew up. And I have a friend who went to that high school that he graduated from and went and graduated with his younger brother. and knew this guy throughout high school. They were Muslim. He said that he was always kind of awkward, kind of doing his own thing. Well, now he's the cult leader of the Ahmadi religion of peace. And in London, or in England at least, I don't know where Crewe, England is. I don't know exactly the geography of England and their cities, but they were just arrested. So members of the Islamic sect, it is a sort of weird, it's like semi-Islamic, kind of perennial. It's like all religions lead to the same endpoint. He's referred to himself as the Pope. He referred to himself as the Antichrist and the Messiah. Again, this like non-duality spiritual world. Have been arrested in the UK for slavery and forced marriages. Isn't that funny how cults always go that way? Over 500 officers have raided the Ahmadi religion of peace and light in Crewe, England. Police say members were arrested for human trafficking, sexual assault, rape, forced marriage, and modern-day slavery. A total of 6 men and 3 women were arrested. The Ahmadi religion of peace and light is a religious sect that derives from Shia Islam and has charity status in the UK. According to The Guardian, 150 people, and 56 of them being children, live together in the gated property in Crewe. The leader of the group, Abdullah Hashim Abba al-Sadiq, who claims to have been appointed by the Prophet Muhammad. Now, I have to show you and read to you an article that was written on him from Mooresville, Indiana. This is where this guy's from. It's a small, very white Christian community, Protestant community here in central Indiana. That's where this guy is born and raised. He is not from the Middle East. He was not born in a cult. From everything that I know about their family, they were like super liberal Muslims. They weren't even like fully hardcore Muslims in upholding all their rules and regulations. Well, the Morgan County Correspondent, this is the local newspaper in Mooresville, Indiana, they had an article about him last year, almost exactly 1 year from right now. It was May 8th, 2025. And it was titled Homebrewed Kool-Aid, From Exposing Cults to Leading One. So this is the guy that was leading this cult that just got arrested in England. Crewe, England, they run one of the largest international doomsday cults in the world. Through 2 satellite TV stations, 48 social media channels, and YouTube channels in 5 languages, they reach followers all over the globe, telling them that mankind is mere hours away from a flood of blood. One of them has declared himself the long-awaited savior of mankind, and more recently, the new pope, commanding followers to sell their homes and follow him. They call their movement the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, and their beliefs are, to put it mildly, wide-ranging. In addition to small bits and pieces of Islam, Ahmadi members are taught about space aliens, the Illuminati, human-sized rabbits that live on other planets and keep humans as pets. The list goes on. New members are allegedly required to give blood and a loyalty oath to the leader, whom they call Master, and he allegedly mixes all the blood in a jar that he keeps inside a replica of the Ark of the Covenant. The compound from which they operate is a converted orphanage in a small town in northern England, quite far from where they started out, in Mooresville, Indiana. Independent journalist B. Schofield of the Guru magazine broke the story last month, detailing the journey of 2 Mooresville high school graduates, Abdullah Hashim and Joseph McGowan, who went from being just 2 kids in small-town Indiana all the way to the top of a worldwide cult. Hashim and McGowan, who you can see pictured to the left, graduated from Mooresville High School in 2001. The 2 of them were natural entertainers. Hashim, in fact, produced the class of 2001 senior video, and both of them were known to have performed stand-up comedy at the Crackers Comedy Club in Broad Ripple. We'd like to have a sitcom sort of like Seinfeld, Hashim told the local newspaper back in the early 2000s. He's one of my inspirations. The duo spent much of the 2000s, however, not on sitcoms, but on documentary films largely focused around one theme, exposing cults. While Hashim was studying filmmaking at Purdue University, Indianapolis in 2005, he and McGowan, that's where I got my undergraduate degree, He and McGowan infiltrated the Rael cult, a UFO religion founded in France in the 1970s, for a documentary film called Little Claudie. The film actually made quite a stir. Hashim and McGowan were interviewed about their movie by Angela Ganotti of Fox 59 before it debuted at IUPUI, and a national outlet, Wired, picked up the story when the cult decided to sue the filmmakers and the university for defamation in 2007. After Little Claudie, Hashim and McGowan made a film about the leader of a black Hebrew Israelite movement in Las Vegas who claimed he could summon UFOs in the sky. Hashim told reporters at the time that the two of them were working to slay these dragons and debunk false prophets. McGowan made similar remarks. Quote, "I want this out there so parents can see what's going on to protect their kids." Former manager of the Reporter Times and current Morgan County Council member Brian Culp wrote multiple stories about Hashim and McGowan's film career back in the 2000s, and he spoke to the correspondent last week about what he remembered. Quote, "They seemed to me to be very genuine about wanting to expose cults," Culp said. "They were just local kids doing something interesting. Years later, I heard things had gone off the rails, but I didn't look too deeply. Things indeed went off the rails starting in 2008, when the duo allegedly had a falling out, and Hashim made a documentary called The Arrivals, which sought to bring the, quote, New World Order to light and claimed most major pop stars were tools of the Illuminati." There's a small article dedicated to Hashim in the Mooresville High School 2001 Wagon Trails yearbook. On it, the then 18-year-old received an interestingly mixed assessment from the Mooresville High School staff members. Quote, "As a student, he was very entertaining, but it was good to see over the year for him to gain a balance between academics and his creativeness," said the Mooresville High School government teacher. Then assistant principal Bruce Peters had a different assessment. "Hashim is one that will go out of his way to pester or pass a project onto someone else," Peters said. Hashim was born in 1983 to an Egyptian father and an American mother. He met McGowan in high school, where they built a friendship based on filmmaking and comedy. Gilly, now retired from Mooresville High, spoke to the correspondent. We'll skip that. And so Gilly had a vivid memory of Hashim once defending a girl with special needs who was being made fun of by another student. But Gilly stresses this: she hasn't seen Hashim since he was in college. Hashim returned to Egypt in 2008, possibly due to the Rael cult lawsuit. Soon after joined some other young men who followed the Iraqi Ahmed al-Hassan, a self-proclaimed messiah. McGowan also traveled to Egypt at some point and began following al-Hassan. Eventually, Hashim set off on his own and launched a splinter group, initially called the Black Banners of the East. After the years, Hashim and his followers have traveled from country to country, eventually becoming known as the Ahmadi Religion of Peace and Light. In the mid-2010s, they were established in Germany before moving to Sweden in 2019. There, they attempted to establish a utopian community, but were eventually threatened with deportation due to alleged drug use. In the wake of this, they relocated to northern England in 2022. The group and its offshoots throughout the world have been subject to frequent harassment by local authorities, which ironically has likely bolstered their popularity. At the very least, the persecution of this group has led to some outside sympathy. In the summer of 2023, the United Nations released a statement urging the Turkish government not to deport the group's members. Since the inception of the Ahmadi Religion of Peace and Light in 1999, its members have been labeled as heretics and infidels, which are often subjected to threats, violence, and legal detention. The UN experts said in the statement they are particularly at risk due to detention and blasphemy laws. So that is the group. And at this time, the Ahmadi members have undergone persecution for the police, have never been better. In 2023, the group earned $1.4 million in donations, and they hold assets worth more than $4 million. That is the group that was just arrested in England. So, little interesting backstory there is that the guy is actually from Indiana. You didn't even grow up in a fundamentalist Islamic home. Now, here's another major story. I don't know if you guys saw this. Children who are exposed to technology like iPads or smartphones, they are actually shrinking the white matter of their brain. I'm kid you not. So a new study, a neuroscientist ran MRI scans on kids aged 3 to 5. Now remember, I've been talking about the atrophication of human abilities, right? That people are using technology so much, they're actually atrophying natural abilities like their memory, like reading, like critical thinking, like being able to sit and focus on something for an extended period of time. Because the dopamine hits, people are addicted to dopamine, their brains literally can't focus, okay? So this neuroscience scans kids' brains aged 3 to 5. Just 2 hours of daily screen time for kids between 3 and 5 was enough to cause measurable white matter loss in their brains. White matter is what controls language, learning, and how your brain's neurons connect. His reaction when he saw the results, whoa, I was not anticipating seeing anything like that. 60 kids, 2 hours a day, visible brain damage from a scan. Now, before I play this, well, I'll play this. I got to show you this video of these kids unable to read. So we've already talked about illiteracy, math scores, right? The current generation that is graduating from high school right now has the lowest literacy rate, I think, since it's been recorded. I mean, for the last 2 years, for the first time in history, IQ levels of high school graduates are dropping. Now, here is a video of a generation being asked to read. She wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche. And that is, gauche is like unelegant, crude, rude, kind of crass. That's what that word means. So they were just asked to read that sentence. This is their attempt.
Read that in this car for me.
She wore a suit, clothes that were... Who's this for? Extraordinary, but somewhat Gertrude?
Now explain what that means.
I don't know.
She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat gooch.
What does that mean?
She wore a lot. Wait, she wore. Bro, I don't know, bro. Can you take the card back, please?
She wore a. Oh, baby. She wore a silhouette of clothes that were. Bitch, I don't know that word. I don't even know how to read. I don't know why I do.
She wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gosh.
All right, now what does that mean?
I have no idea. Like it's clothes' taste or something like that. She wore a. I don't know what this shit say. I don't know what this shit say. I don't know.
So those are high school kids just trying to read that. And yeah, it's a French word. I think I think the correct pronunciation is gauche. You're right. I think Eric Bauerfeld is right. It's like a French word, I believe. Gauche. I know what the word means. I'm terrible at French words. I'm terrible at foreign pronunciation of words. But anyways, now I got to show you the results of the MRI scans. So check this out.
This is 5-year-old Rose. She was one of 60 kids to undergo an exhaustive study in the US, using an MRI machine to scan the brains of kids aged 3 to 5 years old. The results, truly shocking. Interactive screen time causes a loss of white matter in the brain.
Well, in the simplest terms, we could actually refer to as some measure of brain impairment or brain damage.
Professor Mike Nagel from the University of the Sunshine Coast has spent a career studying child brain development.
So white matter in the brain is a material called myelin. So what myelin does is it wraps around the axons of neurons and acts like an insulator, a conductor, not too dissimilar to the plastic coating of a wire. So if we're seeing deficits in myelin production early in life, we're probably seeing deficits in neural connectivity.
The study shows the more screen time a child is exposed to, the greater the loss of white matter. Can you remember your first reaction to those results, not only as a professional in this field, but as a father?
My gut reaction was, wow, I was not anticipating seeing anything like that. It hadn't occurred to me at the time that something as little as, and it said 2 hours a day, was having such a profound effect on the white matter associated with sort of language development. And by association, literacy, it was a shock, to be honest.
And think of every time you see a kid, an iPad kid, that's why they can't talk. Have you ever tried to have a conversation with like a younger person? It could be even high school level, but that grew up on technology. It's really hard to have a convo with people sometimes, especially the younger generation. They just can't like small talk. They can't just talk about things. And it's due to the fact that they have less white matter in their brain, unfortunately. Blink said, did you see Dana White didn't care to get down and just walked around the whole time during the event? Yeah, I did. Blink is referring to the attempted Trump assassination. There was a video of Dana White. He's like talking about how cool it was. And he was like, there's a handful. There's an old man that said he didn't want to dirty his new suit. So there's no way he was going to get on the ground. He just sat there and continued to eat his food. And Dana White just sat there and ended up getting up, walking around. He said, yeah, it was like a super cool experience. Meanwhile, Kash Patel's like crouched down looking for Secret Service. Nathaniel throws in 5, says, do you have a link to that video of the Orthodox chanters winning the Russian talent show? I'm not good at using Twitter. Well, Nathaniel, I exited out of that browser. If you wait till after the stream, I could share the link. But if you just go to X and put in Russian talent show, Russian chant, Russian Orthodox chant, it'll pop up, I promise, because it was tons of people were sharing that video. Oh, wow. A generous support from the Eschaton Vigil. $50 super chat, says Christos Anesti. Truly he is risen. Wow. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate Jonathan. Thank you so much, man. Shout out to the Eschaton Vigil guys. If you would be interested in getting access to all the prophecies translated for the first time in English, go to theeschatonvigil.org and become a member. You can get access to the entire database. So many things I haven't even covered are over on the Eschaton Vigil. Major thank you for the support, brother. God bless you and the family. Eschaton Vigil actually just helped me with my website yesterday. I was getting spammed by bots. Somebody was attacking my website. Blink throws in 5, says, oh shit, the blood flood is coming to complete what the mud flood couldn't finish, the Mahdi has spoken. That's a good one. That's a good one, Blink. Akathis throws in 5, says, did you hear Bishop Emilianos was rejected from Brocor? No, I didn't hear that. Akathis, can you provide an update in the chat? Or in the chat, can you guys I'm not familiar with any of that. I haven't. Somebody get me up to speed. What's happened? I'm not sure. Somebody in the chat, get me up to speed on this. Jack throws in 5, says, this country became so goofy, half of it thinks a dude can become a chick. True. They don't want to deport rapists. True. And they want to war it up with Iran and China. All true. All true. No lies detected, Jack. No lies detected. Bryce throws in $10. Thank you so much, Bryce. He says, I had to train the new guy at work, and this dude could not do simply problem. Oh, could not do a simple problem as 7 plus 7. What? Dude couldn't add 7 plus 7? No way. There's no way people are that dumb nowadays. There's no way. All right. Let me just double check Dono Chat. We got more to cover here. $10 over on Dono Chat from Daniel says, hopefully as things get worse, more people will come to Christ. They will. I promise you that. That's what happens. Thanks for the work, brother. Well, thank you, Daniel. Really appreciate the support. Okay. Let's get back. Let's get back to the stream here. Next news topic is the weird stuff. You guys have seen the weird stuff with Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk? she's been acting kind of strange lately. Obviously, there's a lot of theories. I have been very kind to Erica Kirk because all these theories about whether she knew Charlie was going to be assassinated or somehow she was involved, you know, the weird stuff going on with her charity foundation in Romania with all the kids that were sex trafficked. Again, doesn't directly implicate her. It's not like she did it, but weird things. Her mom was part of basically the military-industrial complex. Erica Kirk had very interesting connections to the CIA and some of the elite brass in the U.S. military. Anyways, I haven't really gone hard on Erica Kirk just because people grieve differently. I have thought it strange how she didn't like take time to just get out of the spotlight. That it seems ever since the assassination, I mean, what was it? 3 days after the assassination, she was talking about t-shirt sales to TPUSA. And maybe that's one of the reasons I was nice to her is you could understand that someone experiences a traumatic event like their husband being killed and immediately try to grieve by trying to become that person or fill his role. Could be. Now, apparently Charlie Kirk had appointed who he wanted to succeed him as the leader of TPUSA. It was not Erica, but she is now the CEO. There are some videos. So she just went on the attack because so many people are accusing her of potentially being behind Charlie's assassination. Drewski, the black comedian who dresses up, does different skits, sometimes pretty funny. He did a white face of Erica Kirk, which wasn't totally inaccurate, and a lot of people found it funny, but it was, I mean, it did attack her in the way that she's mourned, if you will. But she gave a whole presentation. And what was really interesting is Stanley Kubrick's daughter just went scorched earth on Turning Point USA. So I'm not going to play I'll play this clip after I finish, but I'm not going to play, there's so many different clips of her speaking. She was addressing all the rumors. She was addressing the whiteface. And Vivian Kubrick called Erica Kirk's speech following the White House Correspondents' dinner shooting the most ghastly, inauthentic, phony performance she's ever seen. She branded her as some kind of sociopath and called on Trump to kill the organization outright. Despite her Hollywood roots, Vivian is conservative, and she's not the only one speaking out about Kirk's actions since her husband's assassination last September. Several TPUSA chapters have closed or broken away due to ideological changes since she assumed the CEO role. Now, this is just a clip of the video of one of the sections of her responding to her critics.
Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And
No. I just want to say, whiteface, criticism of you being a CEO, and then someone accusing you of being involved in the murder of your husband, one of those things isn't like the rest. I think the whiteface, that was a joke. People criticizing you of being CEO, that is fair. People alleging that you were involved in the assassination of your husband, that should be the only thing that you would be focused on. Lumping those things together, I know it. She's probably emotionally traumatized, and maybe she is frustrated with experiencing. But those three things are not the same.
List goes on and on and on.
Okay, so this is part of the performance that Vivian Kubrick was talking about. Now, this video was going around the internet. I thought for sure this was an AI video. Okay? Here's the thing. This is not AI. This is not AI. This is a legitimate video recorded and posted by Erica Kirk. Watch this. I don't know. I don't even know what to make of that. If you go down here, hey, Grok, is this video really part of the video she sent out to the public? Yes, this appears to be an authentic, unedited clip from the pre-recorded video she publicly released. I don't even know what to make of that. Very strange. Very strange. Very strange. I don't know. It does give you, yeah, somebody says psycho killer. It gives you very weird vibes for sure. I want to make that my screensaver. I don't know why you would. Yeah. Masakula says, she looks not crazy. Yeah. And to keep the panting in the microphone. Okay. Very strange. And here's a little summary of some of the interesting aspects of Erica Kirk. Fun fact, says Wayne. She was in CIA videos with former CIA director R. James Woolsey. True. Her husband was assassinated last year. True. She contended in Trump-owned beauty pageants. True. She dated Cabot Phillips of the Daily Wire before Charlie, despite saying otherwise. True. She is the newest CEO of Turning Point USA. True. She was appointed to the U.S. Air Force Academy Board of Visitors. True. She knew Yair Netanyahu and attended the Arizonian Israel Public Affairs Committee with him. True. She has been accused of having inappropriate conversations with minors. True. She forgave the killer of her husband, but does not forgive people looking into his assassination. Also true. I'm not even going to say more about Erica Kirk. I hope she steps away from the limelight. I hope she focuses on her children. Stop going to all these events. Just be with your kids. Like take a break for 6 months. Like what? You don't need to be in the public anymore. Did you guys see this news story? Did you guys see this news story about the JP Morgan exec that was forcing the Indian working under her to be some sort of sex slave? Did you guys see this? Turned out it was all a hoax. All a hoax. This was like huge news just a couple days ago. What did it come out Wednesday? There was a John Doe, unnamed victim in this lawsuit he files. And so this guy right here, this Indian guy, he files a lawsuit against this woman, Lorna Hajdini, a JP Morgan exec of some, she had a very high position. Anyways, he claimed that she was his boss and she was forcing him to have sex with her. That's what he claims. In the lawsuit, he claimed that she was spiking his daily beverages with Viagra because he couldn't get a hard-on, that she was saying that unless he had sex with her, he couldn't get a promotion, claiming that she mocked his fish-eyed Asian wife and said, I bet she doesn't have cannons like these, talking about her breast. Well, he puts this lawsuit out against her, and it just totally backfired. It went all over the internet. Everybody was talking about this yesterday and Wednesday. The whole thing was fake. The whole thing was made up by the Indian guy. So it turns out the story of the year was just made up, and it gets worse. John Doe is Chirayu Rana, 35, now a principal at Bregel Sagemount. He left JP Morgan and went straight to private equity. The whole threaten his bonus premise collapsed. Hajdini reported to a completely different managing director than Rana. She had no say over his compensation. JP Morgan pulled phone records, reviewed emails, interviewed the full team, found nothing. Rana even refused to participate in his own investigation. A colleague described Rana as socially awkward, but someone who met the requirements to stay at the bank. Before any lawsuit, he tried to negotiate a payout in the millions to leave the bank quietly. They did not bite. He filed a court filing. Then his lawyers retracted it for, quote, corrections and deleted it. But the Daily Mail already ran the whole thing, and the rest, Twitter did its thing. So he tried to get paid, didn't, then filed a now retracted complaint against someone who couldn't touch his bonus. Wild. Absolutely wild. So the dude just made outright lies about her. Here is the New York Post article about it. Bombshell sex harassment suit against Lorna Hajdini, JP Morgan branded complete fabrication as John Doe is unmasked. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. Apparently, basically, she's a boss babe, but she's never had any complaints leveled at her. And here's the thing. Does anybody really think a woman like that is demanding an Indian to be her sex slave? Jeets are hilarious, but I want them out. They are everywhere down here in Southeast Texas, and it's all fraud and scams. So that's their culture. They're bringing their culture. Joe Rogan actually had a really funny, him and Shane Gillis were talking about. I should have pulled it up for today's stream, and I didn't. Oh, here it is right here. Perfect.
R. Kelly. So it turns out that
yeah, play Metallica.
R. Kelly. So it turns out that lady that was a scam. That was fake. The lady who forced the guy to fuck her. Was it JP Morgan?
What?
Yeah, wasn't real.
She was hot.
Yeah, I know.
Was that in the last one we did?
Jamie said it's fake, right? It's fake.
Yeah, the news is going around that it's like there was like the lawsuit is not accurate. Apparently, it's like a retaliatory lawsuit.
So he just claimed that she said all those things, and she made him fuck her.
Damn,
what a pussy!
Wait, is he an Indian guy?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Gross.
It does read like an Indian guy now that I'm thinking about
like
it.
Like a scam?
Like the horniest guy ever. Just coming up with the hottest scene.
She called them cannons.
Yeah.
Once a lady calls her tits cannons. Have you ever heard of a girl call her tits cannons?
It's such an 18-year-old or 16-year-old boy thing.
I've never heard cannons.
Cannons, gazongas. What's
I've heard guys talk about a girl's cannons when she's nowhere near them.
I've heard cans.
Cans, sure,
and
yeah.
torpedoes.
Oh, I've heard cannons, I think. I'm pretty sure I've heard
Wow.
cannons.
Nick Cannon.
Jugs.
Nick Cannons, yeah.
Jugs.
Jugs are hilarious.
Sweater puppets, fun bags, knockers.
They're just boobs and tits.
But a lady saying that?
That's no lady.
I'm sure she said
She did?
No,
That's no
she
lady.
said, "I'm
That's an
sure
Indian
your
name."
fish head Asian wife doesn't have cannons like this."
Fish head.
That's what he said?
That's what he said. She said.
Damn.
What's that Demi Moore movie? Is he claiming it's that?
Striptease.
No, when she was the boss and she made the guy fuck her.
Disclosure.
Oh,
I used to yank it to that one.
Oh, God, that she was fucking hot. article almost made me yank it this morning.
I know, right?
I was laying in bed, seeing that Twitter thing.
Anyways, I thought that was hilarious talking about how it reads like a horny Indian fantasy, because that's basically what it was. It never happened. The guy, and they retracted it because it got mainstream attention. He probably was not expecting the Daily Mail in the UK to pick up the lawsuit and run an article that went viral across the entire internet, especially in the US and on X. And then people deep dive. JP Morgan does an investigation, finds out none of it is even true. One of the allegations where he claimed that he was forced to have sex with this woman, JP Morgan did an investigation with this woman's phone, showed she had never even been to the place he said on what he had, like the day and time they went to this place. They looked into it. She certainly wasn't there during that time, but they said she's never even been there ever. So just another Indian scam, beautiful, beautiful culture. Speaking of Indians, here's your favorite Indian politician, Vivek Ramaswamy. This was from about last week. continuing full force that the idea of American is that you don't have to be of the historical ethnicity of the country, and that's what makes us so special. He says you can travel to Italy, France, Germany, and you'll never be one of them, but you can pack your bags and come to America, and so long as you work hard and play by the rules, and you make contributions and wait your turn and pledge allegiance to the flag and obtain your citizenship, anybody can become a citizen of the U.S., and I don't have it, but earlier interviews, people asked him, is your dad a citizen of the U.S.? And he's, well, no, he hasn't done that. Wait, so Vivek Ramaswamy, he was born to a woman who wasn't a citizen yet. He's an anchor baby, literally an anchor baby. He gets U.S. citizenship. I think his mom eventually became a U.S. citizen. His dad never even attempted to get citizenship. And he's running to become governor of Ohio. And this is what he has to say about American identity.
Ronald Reagan understood this well to some of our, let's just say, parents who are in the back. Okay, we'll address Ronald Reagan from your generation. He understood this well. He famously said, right, you can travel to Italy, but you would never be an Italian. You can travel to France, but you'll never be a Frenchman. You can live in Germany, but you would never be a German. You can pack your bags and live the rest of your life in China or Japan, and you will never be Chinese or Japanese. But you can travel from any one of those countries to establish roots in the United States of America, and you can still be an American so long as you work hard, you play by the rules, you make your contributions, wait your turn, pledge allegiance to the flag, and obtain your citizenship in the right way.
Notice how none of those things have to do with culture, have to do with a shared ethos, have to do with, again, what nation in the world doesn't have, most countries have foreigners, but what nation doesn't even have the indigenous block of their people there? Or what nation believes that you can just totally exchange the people of the nation and it's still America? Because he has this false principle vision of America, that being American is just like some type of rational acceptance of various principles. Well, if I accept the Constitution and I pass my citizenship test and I work hard, then I'm just as American as... No, you're not, dude. No, you're not. My ancestors have been here for centuries. My ancestors actually helped build the country. No, you're not the same. You're not the same, and we don't want you, Vivek. We don't want you to be a voice, a political voice or leader at all. We don't want it. And so because this video, so many people were seeing, you can see that one right there had 6 million views. This video has resurfaced when he was running for president, and he was in Iowa. This is him talking about how he denies the divinity of Jesus Christ.
So I'll be very honest, it's not a hard question at all. So in our faith tradition, Jesus Christ is a son of God. I know that is different than saying he's the son of God. But that is my view of Jesus Christ. He's got our family. Do we worship in churches? Yes, we do. Is that compatible with our faith? Yes, it is. One true God in many forms. So that's different, and I understand.
Oh, so polytheism, right? Yeah, he says, oh, our religion is one true God. It's not a personal God. It's not a personal, it's like a cosmic energy. And that's why that energy manifests itself in avatars. Yeah, it's not the same God, Vivek. The God that I worship is a Trinity. The God that I worship incarnated into history. The God I worship is the Logos. He's sitting at the right hand of the Father. He came and defeated death and ascended into eternity and will come again. Whatever God you believe in isn't the God that I believe in. Our religions are not compatible. Now, we as individuals can get along. We can find commonalities between our worldviews. But you, sir, are in no position to lead any political movement or state, for that matter, in the United States. Your values are not our values. Do you realize that Vivek Ramaswamy made his money from a scam that he did with his mom? They claimed that they had a miracle drug that solved Alzheimer's. Of course, they doctored the testings to show that it was efficacious when then it got bought for I forget how many millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. His company gets bought. His mother is a doctor. She did the research to validate the efficacy of this drug. They bought it, and then they realized it wasn't working at all, and the people that bought it lost all the money. It was basically a scam, and that's how he became a multimillionaire. Indian scam.
That is the only way to heaven is through Jesus Christ.
I think that is the path. That is a path to heaven. Is the way we
see. Again, this is an old boomer from Iowa. He says, "Well, I think that the only God or the only way to heaven is through Jesus Christ." And Vivek's, well, that's a path. That's a path. So no, we don't believe in perennialism, bro. We don't want your Indian Hindu gods. We don't want you pooping on the street. We don't want your culture, bro.
I think that is the path. That is a path to heaven is the way we look at it. But belief in God is what we say. Yeah. Belief in the one true God. That's the way I look at it. So I'll be very honest.
So anyways, that was making its rounds over the internet. Spirit Airlines is getting ready to shut down after a $500 million rescue deal failed to win bondholder or government support. $500 million wasn't enough to save it. The ultra-low-cost model that survived on razor-thin margins and packed cabins never fully recovered from the post-pandemic reset. Spirit couldn't keep up with rising costs, and no one was willing to bail them out. Another budget carrier bites the dust. So for anybody trying to travel on a budget, you're going to have to look elsewhere because Spirit Airlines is not going to exist anymore. This is big news regarding a court decision that the Supreme Court ruled, and it's got Democrats up in arms. I don't know if you've heard these Democrats claiming that the Jim Crow era is back. Gosh dang, the Hill, get rid of all these ads. Supreme Court ruling Royals 2026 midterms with Voting Rights Act ruling. So what does this have to do? The Trump administration and various GOPs and state government houses have been wanting to redistrict their states, which, if they do it the right way, is absolutely going to disenfranchise the Democrats because they use illegals and they jury-rig their districts so that they can get more votes and have more influence. Well, the Supreme Court just ruled against it. Democrats vented their rage over a ruling they said would return the nation to the Jim Crow era policies of the 1950s and 60s when black citizens voted at a far lower rates than today because of restrictions such as poll taxes and literacy tests. Oh my gosh, the horror that someone would have to be able to read to vote. Is that should be a damn requirement. If you can't read, we don't need your vote. You probably can't think far enough to actually choose the right candidate. So they also fear it could help Republicans pick up as many as 19 new GOP-leaning House seats. Republicans hailed the decision as a big political victory, and some GOP lawmakers, such as Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, immediately called on GOP state legislators to redraw congressional districts, even though House primaries are only weeks away. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer declared the ruling upends half a century of precedent and defies the spirit of the American civil rights movement. Well, I'm already in favor of it. By some estimates, this decision could lead conservative state legislators to draw as many as 19 additional seats. Tuberville, one of President Trump's closest Senate allies, called on the Republican-controlled Alabama state legislator to move aggressively. He said, "Let's go," he wrote on X, reposting an op-ed he wrote Tuesday urging Alabama's Attorney General and Secretary of State to file a motion to vacate a federal district court injunction locking in Alabama's congressional district map through 2030. Quote, "Our own state of Alabama, which voted for Trump by 65% in 2024, by all rights should send an entire Republican delegation to Washington," he wrote. Alabama now has 2 majority congressional districts. In a country where only 20 House seats are truly competitive, 2 more Republicans from Alabama could mean the difference between gridlock and advancing Trump's agenda, Tuberville wrote. Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican in Tennessee, who is running for governor of her state, called the Republican state lawmakers to convene a special legislative session to draw a new congressional map and eliminate the majority-minority district in Memphis, which is represented by Representative Steve Cohen, a Democrat. It's essential to submit real Donald Trump's agenda, she said. So anyways, that happened. That is great news. I'm not going to read the whole article, but you can look it up. The Hill had the best overview. I looked at like 4 different articles. Any mainstream article, The Hill was the only one that didn't actually voice the sentiments of the Democrats, claiming that this was a tragedy for civil rights and minority voting. Next news item. We are getting ready to give an honor to Alex Jones. So, for those of you who didn't know, last night was the last night of the InfoWars broadcast. After 27 years, Alex Jones has been forced to shut down InfoWars due to the court ruling that claimed that he owed like over $1.5 billion. They've allowed The Onion, although they don't have full control yet. I heard Alex speak this morning. They're not allowed into the building anymore. And The Onion is expected to take it over, but they haven't technically yet. And unfortunately, last night was the last broadcast. I caught some of it. Jay Dyer was in on it. He actually ended the final broadcast of InfoWars with an impression of Alex Jones saying, "Unbelievable," which was cool. But this is a little montage. You know, shout out to Alex Jones. Whatever you think of him, I've always been a fan of Alex. Just as a warrior, a cultural warrior, whatever he has many opinions I may disagree with, but he's been a legend. And to see what they've done to him, and he's vowing to get in even better shape. He's vowing to lose more weight. He claims that he's going to do everything he can to fight even harder. This is a little montage to Alex Jones. And God bless you, sir. God bless you and your family, and I wish you the best.
I'm Alex Jones, the host of Exposing Mass Media, a show dedicated to showing you the lies and corruption that are being fed to us through our national media. Alex Jones here. I've had 2 wonderful hours of sleep last night, and we're going to wake up.
We're going to build this church back. I've talked to Surviving Branch Davidians, and they concur with my idea to have it a church and at the same time a memorial and a museum for what happened right here on this very ground.
Going to rebuild it. A bunch of racist garbage and division. Exactly what the federal government wants is people at each other's throats. We're not going to put up with it. You're lying to the public. It's disgusting.
Look, I feel like I'm being raped here. You're working with the foreign banks and the military-industrial complex. This is all their idea. Get it, Alex. Death to the New World Order. Death the idea of losing our sovereignty. We don't like this flag, and we're sick and tired of it. A revolution of peaceful information is coming, and when it comes time, you people are going to be brought to punishment.
All we want is for you to be a free American and not to have to kneel on bended knee to the elites that are consistently more and more buying up this country and controlling it.
It's an invasion of privacy. There is no innocent until proven guilty in this country anymore, and Americans across the country have got to start standing up against Big Brother.
Don't you stand for America, sir? What about the Federal Reserve and CFR? You people are being lied to. This country's been taken over by Europe, and I'm being drug out. Laugh at it.
Look at all that. I think I'm afraid of the military-industrial complex that owns our media. I think I'm afraid of the foreign banks. That's who I'm afraid of, not of you people. Whose side are you on?
So it's time for everybody across America to start standing up. We got people power.
I mean, they have done nothing but ignore Clinton's massive, hardcore corruption.
I don't care about my future or my kid's future or the world's future. I'm a caring person. I like Bill Clinton a lot.
Understand that your money supply, your government is paying interest to private banks for bills that should be free of interest to you.
This is not me, this is fact. People can check it out for themselves.
Now get out there, the Paul Revere's of the world, and educate the public.
And they love it if you call them liberals because they go, oh, we're just stupid liberals. No, they are fascist liars wearing little masks of liberalness.
For 1 second, feel the human spirit and stop this dehumanization. It could be incredible.
Well, I know you appreciate my son, George Bush.
But we sure as hell don't. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the belly of the beast. Crashing to the lies and disinformation. No compromise. One day closer to victory. It's Joe Rogan, baby. Oh, shit, I broke the mask.
We refuse to submit. And every person out there, you have the power to lead. You have the power to do what it takes to stand up for this country and stand up for the world. The United States of America that has stood up for hundreds of years against tyranny.
We are gonna win this fight.
You want to call me a terrorist?
So I don't want to get flagged with the music there. We're gonna close that video there before I get the warning of censorship over on YouTube. But W's in the chat for Alex. I see some of you guys have mixed opinions on Alex. I saw Serbian Slav Squat said what made him skeptical was him infiltrating the Bohemian Grove, thinking that, again, I'm not here to convince you one way or the other. I believe Alex. I know people that know Alex Jones. They say him privately and him publicly is the exact same. And he may not agree with everything he says, but he does believe what he says. So God bless you, Alex. I wish you massive success for whatever's going to come, just like we saw with Tucker Carlson and how he's now getting 20 times what he was getting at Fox News regards to viewer engagement. I hope the same thing happens to Alex Jones. Again, no matter what you think of him, you can't deny that the powers that be absolutely despised him. He was the first and the real main figure that was deplatformed off YouTube. I know Milo says it was him, but Milo was talking about weird pedo stuff. About his own experience in like justifying Catholic priests with young boys. But Alex was just telling the news. He was attacking the New World Order and all that stuff. And they shut him down on YouTube when he was exploding. Remember that was in, was it 2018? 2019 was the time that Alex got deplatformed from YouTube. And he's a tour de force. And so here's a little clip of him signing off last night. Now, Harrison Smith went on afterwards, and Jay joined him, and they chatted. But this was the last minute of Alex Jones ever being in front of the InfoWars. He's now under the Alex Jones Network. So do support Alex. You can go to alexjonesnetwork.com or alexjoneslive.com, and you can watch his daily episodes. But here is the last minute of Alex Jones ever broadcasting from the InfoWars studio.
I never bluff, folks. If you knew what we had, the whistleblowers, the documents, we have royal flushes. They are screwed to the moon. And all glory goes to Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father that leads, guides, and directs us. We are commit ourselves to God in this holy fight. And we are committed, and if God stands with us, who can stand against us? And that's how I close out. So I salute you all. What a crew. The hell we've been through has only made us stronger. Let me ask you, would you have any other way? No. Are you not stronger now in this fight? Yeah! I salute this crew and all the viewers and listeners to this fight, and I commit myself to Jesus Christ's hands. Amen.
God bless the InfoWar. Woo!
You are the InfoWar. It lives forever. We're going to play Frank Sinatra Blue Eyes and come back with the great Tom Renz and then Jay Dyer to close this out. God bless you all. That's it. The next phase starts. The real war begins now. I never bluff.
I don't know. It's so sad what they've done to Alex, man. Just think, I mean, I can imagine how I would feel if they took my YouTube channel. I've put effort into this since 2020. Well, actually, the end of 2019, beginning September of 2019 is when I went full time on this YouTube channel trying to create content. That is 6 years, almost 6 years, 6.5 years. Alex, he has 27 years of InfoWars broadcasting. They took it all from him. They took all his money from him. They took his studio. God bless Alex Jones. God bless Alex Jones. And God bless you guys. We just reached the goal. 30 super chat goal. Hell yes. Thank you guys so very much. We only have a few news stories left, so I don't know if we're going to reach the 50 goal for a sponsored stream. We can set it up. We can try. See what you guys are interested in. 50 super chats is the goal for a sponsored stream. Sponsored stream. But thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for all the support. Truly, truly, truly. DPH co-emperor of Wigzantium. Oh, that's funny. God bless you guys, man. It's so lucky that we have each other. I mean, as a community, just like the InfoWars. I mean, that's the thing. Whatever happens to Alex Jones is just indicative of what's going to happen to all of us. He really is a sort of canary in the coal mine. And that's why we got to support. You know, I'm not telling you to go buy supplements or anything, but just emotionally, just as an individual, we got to support each other. All right. Last few news items here. The United Kingdom, of course, they've let in how many Muslims? Millions. The United Kingdom has raised its terrorism threat level to severe, indicating that an attack is considered highly likely. This is the second highest level, just below critical, which signifies an imminent threat. So the UK. Now, is it a false flag? Is this a planned event? I don't know, but the UK government is expecting an Islamic terrorist attack. And here is the water shortage. People were talking about the drought that's going on in the West. So Phoenix, Arizona is heading into stage 2 water restrictions by the end of 2026, meaning backup supplies, conservation mandates, and surcharges for residents who use too much water. At the same time, Arizona just approved 24 new data centers with 30 to 50 more in the pipeline. Oh, what is it that we were reading about the data centers? How they take up so much electricity and water? Oh, so Arizona's in a drought. You're going to get fined if you use too much water, but Amazon gets unlimited resources for their data center. Truly a hellscape. These facilities are among the most water intensive on Earth. Cooling systems alone can burn through millions of gallons per day. Less water for people, more water for data centers. Honestly, it wasn't the future I imagined. And here's a little video talking about...
The city of Phoenix is anticipating serious cuts to our water supply from the Colorado River.
We are certainly at a point where the risk of unilateral federal action is very high.
Yeah. It's a day they've been preparing for, and with it, more action will need to be taken. Right now, the City of Phoenix Drought Management Plan is at stage 1, which focuses on educating the public on water conservation. It's a warning that water is running out, and it's worked, like homeowners getting rid of the grass in their yards and using more water-efficient appliances. But with these anticipated cuts at the federal level,
we cannot conserve our way out of the problem of this magnitude.
On Tuesday, the Water Services Department announced by the end of the year, Phoenix will likely enter stage 2 of the plan, where they will have to use backup water supplies to meet demand.
It may include things like additional conservation education, expansion of water audits, incentives, and rebates to ensure efficient use of water.
It could also bring surcharges, meaning if someone uses more water than what they are allocated, they could face additional charges for it.
This is America. Are you guys tired of winning yet? Are you guys tired of winning? We already said that one. And then here, Jeffrey Epstein purportedly wrote a suicide note before he allegedly killed himself, which is currently under seal by a federal judge. According to the New York Times, the note was found by Epstein's cellmate just weeks before he died. Cellmate Nicholas Tartaglione says the note said, "Time to say goodbye," but it's unclear what it contained. The Times has not seen the note and could not find it in the Epstein files. A DOJ spokeswoman said the agency had not seen it. A cryptic 2-page chronology in the records describes how the note became tangled up in Mr. Tartaglione's messy legal case. The chronology says that Mr. Tartaglione's lawyer authenticated the note, though it does not explain how they authenticated it.
Ken, I want to turn to another topic in the DOJ's wheelhouse. There's new reporting surfacing about a potential suicide note purportedly written by Jeffrey Epstein. What can you tell us?
This is a wild story, Anna. The New York Times discovered that there was evidence that Jeffrey Epstein wrote a suicide note that's never seen the light of day because it's under seal on orders of a federal judge. And the Justice Department is saying they've never seen this note. They have no idea what it says. It was not released as part of the tranche of Epstein files, nor was it redacted, according to the DOJ. It's under seal. It was given to another inmate in the prison where Jeffrey Epstein was. Obviously, this is of great interest, given the conspiracy theories and so many people who believe that Jeffrey Epstein didn't commit suicide, even though the Justice Department's Inspector General did an exhaustive investigation and determined that he, in fact, did commit suicide. So obviously, we'd all love to see this suicide note and see what light it sheds, if any, on the circumstances of Jeffrey Epstein's death.
So, Jeffrey Epstein apparently wrote a suicide note that his cellmate saw a week before he died, or weeks leading up to his apparent suicide, but no one has ever seen it. But somehow it's been authenticated, which nobody knows how, since nobody of authorities has actually seen the suicide note. So more drama continues with Epstein, as usual. All right, let's see. Let me catch up with some of the comments I saw. Jay Foe said, "For the cause, Christ is risen." Truly he is risen. Thank you very much, brother. False accusation are not punished. No problems. Guys will fix that also. Just not the approach I thought some guy would take. Talking about the Indian falsely accusing his boss of demanding he had sex with her. Turned out to be a total phony baloney. Nathaniel throws in 5 for the goal. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. And Vigo throws in $2, says RIP InfoWars. Bryce throws in another 5, says for the goal. Thank you so much, Bryce. And he followed up with another one, said, I work in water treatment in Michigan. There is currently a plan to cut 30% of treatment plants, all small one. They say that it should decrease prices. Interesting. I wonder if Nick is still in the chat. I know he works at a water treatment facility, or maybe he's already left. I saw him earlier in the chat. Shout out to Nick Offinger. I hope you're going to Montana this year, Nick. Got to see you. I wanted to do a sponsored stream. Those have always been the 2 that we've done were 50 super chats. We need 18 more to reach a sponsored stream for Vlad the Impaler, or whatever topic you guys would like. It's your decision. Oh, Vigo throws in 5, says Christ is risen. Thank you. Truly he is risen. So we need 17. 17, you guys pick the stream topics, community-sponsored stream, if you guys want. It's up to you. Nick Offinger. He was in the chat. He's been one of my longest supporters. He's actually a friend He's out in the West. I hope he's going to be able to make it to Montanica this year. But how are the book sales going? They're decent. They're decent. I wish someone would interview me so I could get some more exposure. I know Jay and I talked about it when we were in Florida. I may have to reach out to him, see if he'd still be interested in that. But, I mean, book sales are going decent. If you haven't got my book, do get a copy. Return to Babylon from Adam to Antichrist. Author signed copies on my website. Or you can get versions from Amazon, which are a little bit cheaper. I don't make as much money from those, but if you're in a pickle, just get the Amazon. It's cheaper. Also, if you guys, we've been having fantastic conversations over at the Logos Academy. We're doing this next Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be meeting to do a fitness accountability and life assessment. We do this the first Tuesday of every single month, talking about our fitness goals, diet goals, spiritual goals, and then career goals or monetary goals or something of that nature. So if you're looking for accountability from a bunch of other men doing the exact same stuff in their own life, make sure you sign up over at the Logos Academy. I'll share that link right now. I'm planning on putting together a new course on the Orthodox Survival course, hopefully before I leave for Montanica, May 27th. Oh, shout out. Yes, Darth Grumpy Dad, member of the Logos Academy, by the way. I just sent yours in the mail. I hope you got a notification. UPS should have texted you or sent you an email. Yours is in the mail. I just got that in today. So if you guys also would like to get a author signed copy, just use this link right here. And you can do that. And also, if even though doesn't look like we're going to be able to reach the community sponsored stream goal today, by the way, guys, $2 will add to the pot here. So if you throw in a $2 super chat, I limit it down to $2. You throw in a $2, we can get this up to 20 and do a community sponsored stream. But if you personally would just like to sponsor a stream, maybe it's not one of these community sponsors, you can do so with this link right here. As I told you, Monday, I'll be doing a deep dive into Kosovo, a topic probably most of us aren't super familiar with. And then Wednesday, I'll be doing one on satanic ritual abuse, another sponsored stream. And so I only have one more sponsored stream out of that. Usually I have like 5 or 6 lined up. That's why they take so long to do. But after next week, I'll have one more to do, and then I won't have any sponsored streams. So you guys need to sponsor one as a community. Fenor said, are interested in writing fiction at some point? No, I don't even really read fiction besides some classics, like I've read Master and Margarita. We did that in one of the members. We did a book club reading of Bulgakov's Master and Margarita, one of the Russian classics about Satan, the devil, taking over Moscow during basically Stalin's reign in the Soviet Union. But I don't read a whole lot of fiction. Mostly what I read is nonfiction, history, philosophy, theology stuff. So I don't ever see myself writing a fiction book. Maybe after I retire from the game and write a novel of some sort. Mello was in that book club? You were? Wow. That's a callback. I mean, we did Master and Margarita when? That was 2001? It was like 2020 or 2020 or 2021. Not 2001, 2021. It was like 2020 or 2021 we did that. Yeah, that was a shout out to you, Mela. Shout out to you. Serbian Slavsko says, also looking forward to the satanic ritual abuse. You know what's funny is in 2 days, one day someone sponsored a stream on satanic ritual abuse, and then the next day someone else sponsored a stream also on satanic ritual abuse. So I told him we need to have 2 different angles here because we're covering the same topic, a different focus. So seems like satanic ritual abuse has been something people have been thinking about. So you can't put satanic ritual abuse in YouTube. Do you know that that's like a banned topic? You have to put like ritual abuse or something of that nature. You can't say directly satanic ritual abuse. I tried that one time. The stream got taken down. Now, I don't know. Maybe it was something I said during the stream. I'm not sure. So let me check Streamlabs real quick. Oh, Serbian Slav Squad just sent in another super chat. Said, have you ever seen the YouTube channel Beryllium? He's Orthodox, and maybe you guys could do a stream together. He has over 100,000 subs. Good exposure. Beryllium. That sounds so familiar. Beryllium. No, I've never seen this YouTube channel. Oh, that guy. Yeah, I've seen clips of his. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd love to reach out to him. Populist Patriot. Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen some of his apologetic stuff. It was like on X. I never knew of his YouTube channel. Cool. Yeah, I'd love to reach out to him. Yeah, I'd definitely be down to chat with Beryllium. Is that the guy who was once a cross-dresser? What? And a groiper or something. What? He was a cross... I don't know anything about that, so don't slander the guy if you don't know that's true. What was the sponsored stream after SRA? I was wanting to sponsor Tesla, but chats want Basil II. There isn't one. I have 2 streams on SRA. So Kosovo is Monday. I still want to do more research. I am not an expert on the Kosovo matter, so I'm trying to look into the Clinton administration, all that stuff to get my head wrapped around the whole topic. And then a satanic ritual abuse, which will be coming at it from a few specific instances that the sponsor wanted me to address. He gave me tons of great links to research, and he wanted me to talk a lot about psychologists trying to deal with people who have been abused from satanic ritual cults and stuff like that. So that's going to kind of be that angle. And then the other one, the next one after that, which was also on satanic ritual abuse, he wanted me to talk a lot about MK Ultra, and he had some stuff. So I think they'll kind of be different flavors of the same topic. But after that one, after those 3 streams, I don't have any sponsored streams. So Tesla would be a good one. The Bulgar Slayer, Basil II would be a good one. Vlad the Impaler would be a good one. I'd be open to all those. Yes, so Mike, you're saying Beryllium was a cross-dresser? What? I mean, if he's Orthodox now, it doesn't matter. If he's a good guy and he's an Orthodox Christian now and he's repented from stuff, like, I don't need to hold it over him. I don't know the guy. I don't know. I've only seen a couple clips on X of stuff that he's posted, and it was pretty solid from what I saw. So we don't need to. Pubba said, I think the dressing thing was a joke he did on Twitter years ago, and Milo brought it back up to slander groypers. Oh, okay. See, I don't know any of that drama. I could see Milo doing that because he seems to know everybody's business. So that does not surprise me in the slightest. Nathaniel said, I'll sponsor both, but I have to be somewhat responsible with my money. Well, just do one right now. And the goal is to get the community so you don't have to do all of it, Nathaniel. Look, how about this? If someone sends in a big dono right now, we'll just consider the goal accomplished. Someone sends a big dono in right now, we'll just consider it accomplished. We'll just put the poll up right now. You guys can choose the community-sponsored stream. Forget reaching the 20 more, or 16 more super chats to reach the 50 goal, which we've done before. Someone just sends in a big old nasty dono, we'll just call it even. And I'll put up the poll right now. We'll just decide. Edward throws in 3, says, love your work. Christ is king. He is king. Christ is king, and every knee shall bow. You know, the point where we all need to be is just be unabashedly Christian. We just cannot be afraid of our faith anymore. Oh my gosh. Bryce Casper just threw in 50. Absolutely. That is good. Let's see. If we get another $50, I'll consider it done. In my head, I had $100 because, 16 super chats. Another $50, we'll consider it done. Community sponsored stream. I'll put up the poll right now. The Grifton overdrive. Thank you. Bryce, thank you so much, brother, for the generous support. There it is right there. Okay, goal accomplished. Goal accomplished. Ortho Bell through 50 says this is all I can. The goal is accomplished. Community has sponsored the stream. We are done. I'm going to end the goal. Okay, what topics do you guys want? Let's put the poll up right now. Okay. Community sponsored stream. Let's see. We got Vlad the Impaler. We got, what was the other one? Tesla, people mentioned. What was the other one? Well, what were the topics? Vlad, Tesla. What were some of the other? Saturn worship. That I'd be open to doing that. That's not a bad one. Basil II, the Bulgar Slayer. And one more topic. What's another topic? I got Vlad the Impaler, Tesla, Basil II, Bulgar Slayer. We need one more topic, then we can post the poll. What's another good topic you guys would want to stream on? Tell me a topic. Yes, major thank you to Bryce. He's Bryce, Eschaton Vigil, and Ortho T-Bell. Thank you guys. Without Ortho, you guys need to give Ortho T-Bell and Bryce thanks in the chat, because it's those two super chats that pushed it over the top. We are doing a sponsored stream now thanks to them. So shout out to you guys. God bless you. Another topic. Give me one more topic and we'll put the poll up. 30 Years War? That's not a bad one. Dr. Crispy said, I'd suggest another Irish stream, so I'm... Someone mentioned to do a sponsor stream on Alfred the Great. We covered Alfred the Great before. St. Nikolai, that's a good one. Velimirovich. Okay, so do you guys want Saturn worship, 30 Years War, St. Nikolai Velimirovich? Which one you guys want? St. Sebastian? We can do a saint. Give me one more topic. What do you guys... Norman invasion of England? That's a good one. That's a good topic. Everybody's saying the ones we already... Okay. Let's do them all, DPH. Okay, we'll put Norman invasion. We can get in the Battle of Hastings and modern English identity, all that different stuff in there. Okay. All right. We're posting the poll. You guys vote. What's the next community sponsored stream? It'll be up in, I just need give me 2 weeks. Next week, not going to happen. Following week, it will happen. So let's see. Norman invasion jumps to the lead. Oh, it's shrinking. Uh-oh. Vlad has taken the lead. Tesla, no. Norman invasion, 33%. Come on, guys. 17 votes. We need more votes. 21 votes. We need at least like 50 votes so we can really get a feel. Oh, Vlad's growing. $52% in Vlad. I think Vlad's going to win here. 36 votes. He's at 53%. Yeah, Vlad the Impaler is going to win. We got 38 votes. Come on, guys. Once we reach 50 votes, it's official. 50 votes is official. We're at 39 votes. 10 more people need to vote. Come on, people. It's right there in the chat. How Vlad the Impaler could have beat the Normans. Papist-sponsored Norman invasion of Orthodox England. Yeah, that might be my angle. Let's see. Okay, we're at 45 votes. Nobody's going to beat Vlad. Vlad the Impaler is the winner. Vlad the Impaler is the winner. The next community-sponsored stream is Vlad the Impaler. We have reached the goal. We need 2 more votes to make it. 1 more vote to make it official. 1 more vote submits Vlad the Impaler. All right. The tribe has spoken. You guys have voiced your opinion. It is Vlad the Impaler is the next community-sponsored stream. Next week, we got Kosovo, satanic ritual abuse. Next week, satanic ritual abuse, Vlad the Impaler. So cool. Thank you guys so much for the support. I'm so glad we were able to reach the goal. And let's just give a major shout out to the big sponsors today. Ortho T-Bell, God bless you. Coming in the clutch, the last one to send it over the line. Bryce, thank you so much, brother, for the generous support. You supported a lot today. Shout out to the Eschaton Vigil as well. Shout out to Logo Cinema. If you guys haven't followed, check out Logo Cinema. Let me just double check over on the other one so I don't miss anyone. I think we're up to speed here. Yep. All right. We did it, guys. We did it. We did it. Really love watching. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you so much for all the support. Underrated life. Thank you, Akathis. We need to get the word out. I know who this is, Cato Craft. Shout out to you, brother. I know that you're getting ready to head down south. Safe travels. He said, I assume his Nikola, not the car company. Yes. We're not doing a deep dive into Tesla electric cars. Thank you, Serbian Slav Squad. He says all of DPH live streams are fire. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. Thank you, all of you guys. Shout out to Paul. God bless you, brother. And Nathaniel says, since you're doing Vlad, you have to listen to Impaler by Sabaton. It's required study. All right. Will do. I'm going to listen to it right before the stream to get me in the mood. All right, guys. That's going to do it for me. I hope you all have a blessed weekend. I will see you all in the next stream Monday morning. Or no, not Monday morning. We'll do Monday at 5 o'clock, usual time. Monday afternoon, we will be doing a deep dive into Kosovo, Serbian persecution. Unless some major news event takes place, that's what we're doing Monday. So I plan on already posting the stream here this weekend just so people can prepare. It's a topic I've never done a deep dive in, is Kosovo. So that's what we're going to be doing. But God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you guys Monday. As always, until then, God bless.